The ceiling fans? They're very attractive.
Coming soon to wherever your televised vision plays your programming. It's the new series, Yellowstone, Part Ducks. It's the story of a family, a very corrupt family, a son and his kind of dimensioned father, and they're always fighting. Both of them are confused, and we're confused. The father says, I found stuff in your house shouldn't be there, I'm putting you in jail. And the son says, oh yeah? Well, I found even more stuff in a bunch of your places, I'm gonna put you in jail. But the thing is, neither one of them know. They're just puppets to the real master. No, the real master. And so, they all play their part. Who will win? Well, he doesn't know. Coming soon to the televised vision near you. Yellowstone. Part Ducks.
Is that like...
Information's out there. All you have to do is let it in.
The Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
Clickety-click.
Crank up the music. Keep an eye on the back.
This presentation is provided to you to amuse or entertain and not to conform or inform. The content on this channel should not be used to replace professional, financial, medical, or legal advice. All footage taken and used from public sources falls under the Fair Use of the Digital Millennial Copyright Act of 1998. Therefore, no breach of privacy or copyright has been committed. This show is substantially sourced, not affiliated with any community, club, fraternity, or gang. Your cat may vary. I say, moo. I had another birthday, so I went to the doctor to get a full report. He actually said I was a beast.
That's not what he said.
What? What'd he say?
He said you were obese.
Oh, well, that's rude.
Satellite tracking continues.
Wow. Wow. Hey, everybody. We made it again. Friday night. Whoop, whoop. We're on the right side of the grass. Anytime you're on the right side of the grass, it's a good day. So, good day to you, all kind souls. Where's my camera? Clickety click. There you are. How's it going? Good to be seen by everybody. Yeah, I got lots to talk about. And I wrote notes. And I'm going to answer questions, or, I'm going to do my version of the answers. And yes, so in the beginning of the show, well, two things. I had to do the opening because I've run out of people. So if anybody wants to do the opening, just, that little disclaimer, just send an audio file to my email, ceilingfanman2020@gmail.com. And then I can put you on the thing. And so that's why I had to record a moo. And to me, that's what this cow, if you want to know about the whole thing, and I'll talk about the ads in a second. I see the ads you're talking about, and I got one too. So we'll talk about that in a second. But the whole thing with the cow, when I typed out, well, I do a lot of talking and texting. And so I typed out by talking into my phone, the disclaimer that I have at the beginning of the show. And somehow, and I don't even know how, at the end, it said moo, or at least it thought I said moo, and it put that in there. And of course, my proofreaders didn't catch that, which is me. And it went out that way. And so, and I see Rose's in the chat because she posted that comment. It's like, it's the something about the worst autocorrect that we love. Where is it? I don't know where it went, but yeah, it was a complete, here, the most tolerated autocorrect of all time, because she and Jason were the first ones that did an opening thing where they said it. And at the end, they both said moo, and I was very confused. And so I do a lot of talk and text to her too. And I just said, did you say moo? And I don't think she even answered that one. But she thought I was just making sure that they said moo because it was important to me. And so just like good order followers, they went ahead and said moo, even though I didn't mean it to be there. And so, of course, I bring it up to my wife, the silent wife, who she made sure everyone knows that I didn't go to the doctor and was told I was obese. I've got a few, but everyone has. She's a very good cook. but that was just for comedic purposes. So there, and it's sweet of her to stick up for me. So getting back to the original story was that I went to her and I said, "Hey, can you listen to this? Why are they saying moo?" And so she listened to it and she said, "Well, maybe you wrote moo." And of course, my first instinct is you're wrong. And so I'm like, there's no way I would not write. Why would I write moo? That's ridiculous. I didn't write moo. And then, just like always, I looked it up and found out I did. And then I also had to eat crow. That's funny because that's what they call it when you make a mistake. And but who's counting? She is. And so I realized it had said moo in the copy. Well, theirs was so funny that I just left it, and then here we are. And so it still says moo. And so rather than take it out, everyone's saying moo, I made a moo. And so when I said I'm going to have to come up with some kind of photo for this imaginary cow, and that's when Rose said, you better make sure it's real fancy. And so I came up with this fancy. I mean, I put them together. I added the monocle. I found it. The Monopoly man had dropped it, and I stuck it on the cow. And then I did all this other crazy stuff behind him and stuff. And in my head, that's how he sounded. And so when I had to do the voice, this is what I said for moo.
I say moo.
Because that's the voice I hear. One of the voices in my head, obviously, but that's the one I hear for that cow. So that was a long drawn out story. So let's see where we go here. Let me get all the way down to the comments here. As far as the ads, I'm going to see. I can't do it. I try, and see, the thing is I have a show that is monetized, and a lot of these true channels that you watch aren't, and they work solely off of donations or Patreons or memberships or all that. I don't hard sell that there. All the donations I've ever gotten are greatly appreciated. And the memberships and the few Patreons I have, I put it out here, and it's still the show on Rockfin. Thank you for my Rockfin fans that are over there. But I do still do it free here on YouTube. And free, I'm using air quotes because I was always monetized. Well, they've started this new system, and I can't figure out how to get around it to where they decide to throw ads in on my stream. And so I don't know when they're going to come on. And they also said that some people will get them at different times. Some won't even get them. So if you can look into how YouTube creates all that, great. But for me, all I did is I turn on the button like I've always done, and it's being more aggressive. I never had ads in the live stream before, and now I do. And so, but at the end of the day, I think it's like $100 or so we ink out of it after everything's paid off and YouTube and all their handlers and stuff. And it helps support this channel. If I could figure out a way to do it like the other big channels do, where they do it just solely off of donations or memberships or support, fine. But for now, I'm in this system. And so if you're getting them, I apologize. Hopefully they're not long, and I believe you can skip them on most phones or computers. I do, but I get them too. I get them on because I'm using this to see the chat and stuff, and ads are coming up. So I don't know what to tell you other than I'm doing the best I can to get the message out there. The show still is technically free. If you want to look for it, it's on this channel. And but everybody else that is supporting, thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, see, I'm sorry. I don't understand it. And then other people said they haven't gotten one. I don't know, unless you're going out of the stream and back in, because it's supposed to be set up like, I don't know, every hour or something. And, I usually do a 2-3 hour stream. So, yeah. YouTube was better in 2017. It just was, but we can't go back in time. That's just how it is, at least I believe. So, okay. So let's see. Where should we go? Let's see. What do I want to start with? Oh, okay. The first thing I think I'd like to start with, and I know, who was this? Was this Trevor? This is terrible. No, it's Terry. Um, he sends me things from time to time, and he had a story that I'm certain he won't mind me sharing because it was a great analogy. Because today is supposed to, as they say, Good Friday. What does that even mean? Because it definitely wasn't a good day for Jesus. If the Good Friday is supposedly the day he's crucified, and then he rises up on Easter Sunday. And but the Good Friday idea, it's a religious belief. It's, I believe, in the Catholics, um, and and they have other ones too that have been kind of changed and bastardized to make us think that it's original Bible stuff. But first of all, we're on the Gregorian calendar, so we don't even know if we have the right weekend. Second of all, like say the Jehovah's Witnesses, they already did their discussion on this last week, and the Jews have a different calendar, and so it's like try once I say this a lot on this channel, don't get caught up in the minutia of the names and the dates in order to like fight with each other, because that's a devil's trick. We're getting right down to the finish line, and then he's going to make us split up and divide over a letter. There's no J in the language when they wrote the Bible, so you shouldn't say G. I mean, it gets so far down into like bickering. It's just got to stay away from that. And if you are praying and you are having a walk with God, you can ask him these questions, and these things will solve themselves. It's pretty amazing. But what were we talking about? I don't even remember. We were talking about ads, and we were talking about so today is Good Friday, and so rather than like celebrate it, it's a reminder of what Jesus did for us on the cross. And that's something we just need to think about throughout our lives. That's a daily thing, because that's the whole reason that I even talk about this. It's not a religious show. Some people deem it that way sometimes, but it's about truth. And as I went through my truth, I found out it all ends there. And so it's bigger than a religious talk. It's a spiritual connection. And there's a lot of things going on currently in our times that there's so many coincidences. As Steve J. Mo would say, the shelf broke. We used to talk about that all the time. And so what I would like to say is he wrote this wonderful letter, and he's discussing about how Jesus came in as a child in human form to walk among us and lead us back to paradise. And so may we never forget his sacrifice on the cross for all humanity, because that all that believe that he came in human form and died on the cross and rose again from the dead, he gives to those believers eternal life and the love of the Father. And he wrote this little synopsis of a story, which is very Jesus-like, because Jesus likes talking in parables, and it's really tough to get a straight answer from him sometimes. And so he says, there's a farmer who has seen a strong storm approaching, and all these sparrows that huddled on a power line, of course, right? Because we've talked about birds. But in any case, they're on a power line waiting for the storm to come in. And he thought, hey, I'll open my barn doors and they'll fly into safety and get away from the storm. But no, they just huddled even closer. So then he put food and water and heat and lights and everything on, so that way they'd see the safety and comfort and come into the barn out of the storm. And but they stayed, and they never came into the barn. And he thought to himself, if only I could become a sparrow, then I could go and I could lead them into the barn for safety of food and drink and light. And so I like that. It's such a easy synopsis, and I need those. That's how I talk to God. I go, okay, God, you've told me what you want. Now tell it again like I'm 7. I used to say 10, and then I thought that's a stretch. But that's basically it. The idea is that throughout history, and we'll cover some of that tonight, we have forgotten who we are, we've forgotten where we are, and we forgot how we got here. I wish I could play this one clip. Maybe I'll put it on my channel. But South Park did a little, of course, they get away with everything. And they did a little thing on evolution. taught by Mr. Garrison, Mrs. Garrison. I'm not sure which. I think it was the second one, and goes through the evolution and how basically the mutants of the fish somehow got arms and made a mutant fish creature, and then that had mutant fish creature relations with a squirrel and then a monkey, and then it's just like it's so utterly incredibly laughable. I don't want to say that because I don't want, I was on that side until I started researching all these things. And then of course when you talk like I do, you get ridicule from the other side. But I have so much more patience with that because I was them. I believed I crawled out of primordial soup and then a bunch of mutations, which they teach us in natural selection. Those are the ones that die off. But in any case, somehow these mutations ended up creating this incredible, this specimen, but just the specimen of the human body. And we have no idea how it happened, and we cannot recreate it. I don't believe that they're cloning people. At best, they can take and do a lot of incestual implantations and stuff, maybe. And that's about it. And you get a lot of those same people look the similar. And then you get that wonky brother, like was it Ron Howard's brother, stuff like that. Sorry. I don't like making fun of people, especially because I can make fun of myself faster than that. Okay, so what do we have here? Yeah, it is laughable. I know, right? So, all right. So let's see. Look around you. All right. I thought someone was coming. Oh, that pillow's upside down. There. Still upside down. But yeah. So, Paul Harvey said that story. Excellent. And I got to say something. I got the nicest compliment. Is I had it. One of the people that write me and said I've become like their new Paul Harvey. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. I'll take that on because he was a big part of my awakening, even before I knew I was having an awakening. We used to, and it was funny because my wife and I, we didn't know each other way back when we were both listening to Paul Harvey. Of course, that was one of the things that we had in common too, in our boys and stuff. But yeah, it's really cool thinking back on those shows. And I think doesn't Wayne McCroy, I think he plays him on was that The Sign of the Times? I think that was the show he plays. Anyways, I'm off on my own tangent. Okay. Yeah, we need the rest of the story, right, Johnny? Cool. And then so a couple things. Someone's been writing me, and just to let you know, if you do a really long comment rather than sending it as an email, even when I approve those comments, they sometimes don't show up. I don't know how YouTube has some weird algorithm, because if it's too long, it just cuts it off. And so there's a person that's been writing to me a few different times about the planets and how I talk about things that are cartoons. And so I'm going to discuss that tonight too. I have the video that he sent. So I'm sorry I haven't been able to comment on the comment section, but it wasn't there. So, but I did see them, and I'll discuss it tonight. And then there was another one that has really made me struggle pretty much this whole week, was this comment. See, it's funny. My wife watches people like this Loom Lady or was it Natasha's Kitchen and stuff, and I'm sure they don't get the questions that that God sends my way. Because I'll show you this one. Like, I just turned on the camera and thought I'd give you the information that I've been finding, and had no idea that I was going to be. I was actually being called to service to help with these kind of questions. Check out this question. Can you answer this question, please? Innocent people live in fear and pain on a daily basis through no fault of their own. Why does this happen? Please do not answer. And then they make sure you don't cop out. Please do not answer the question with God has given us free will, or it's a test, because the people who are living on this day suffering, I believe, will not appreciate these answers. Okay. And I agree with everything in that. So But yeah, you can ask my wife. I've been working on this. I've been watching everything. I've been reading the Bible, and I've been, asking God for help on this. So I'll get as much as I can tonight, but I'll let you know from the get go, you're not probably going to get the exact answer you're looking for. You have to keep looking, but I'll give you some ideas and where to look. So, okay. All right. Now, let's see. All right. Let's see. Where should we start? Let's see. What's my first tab? Oh, okay. I know what we can do. Oops. We'll go here and I'll put this. Okay, we'll talk about the Royals. And now it is time for news for women. Women's news. 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 And to be perfectly fair, this really isn't women's news. I didn't have time to make the Royals news. And maybe I'm wrong, but most guys I know don't even know. Like, I had to ask my wife again, what's this lady's name? Because I forget. So a lot of guys, most guys I know, they don't keep up too much on the Royals. But it's so in our face that I had to have this discussion because, first of all, for those of you trying to keep up, so you got a prince and a princess, and there's a lot of theories of what's going on. She's come out now and said, I've been missing this long because I'm being treated for cancer. All right. If that's the case, I feel very bad. That's terrible because I know what treatments they use. And no, I mean, it's bad to have cancer. And so here's the thing. What's weird is the mainstream, whatever that is, they're picking up on all this stuff because she'd been missing. And then they had an obvious body double a few times. Like one time she had a mole that was not there, and then it was there. And another time the gal walking didn't even look like her. What is that? Ugh. Okay, sorry. And so there's all these theories going around. My favorite one was that she had an affair, and what's his name? The prince, I think is it William Henry? One of those is she's married to, came home and went all uh, true story crime and like killed her or something. And then they had to like do these cover stories and have the body doubles and stuff. And so, that's still on the table because now she has cancer. She could, possibly, you know, and so, but what's weird is they keep coming up with these Photoshopped things. They're obvious Photoshop. And then this last one was on this bench. And I don't know if I'm boring you. I'm sorry. We'll get over this really soon. But I find this fascinating because I know it's all for stage and theater, but the fact that people don't question some of these things. Like, first off, when I saw her sitting on this bench, and again, if she's going through treatments and stuff, I could see, your face changes. But to me, am I wrong? It looks like it got longer. Like these two heads, this one's definitely longer, I think. I don't know. That could just be me, but that's what I see there. Second thing I see on this video, and again, they could say, "Oh, it's perspective." Fine, but the what do you call it? The slats, not the sluts. The slats on this bench are different size than these, and you can say, "Oh, it's perspective. She's closer to this side of the camera." Maybe. I should have found that one. Do you guys, all gals on couches, all see that one? Hello. Am I back? Am I not allowed to talk about these people? Screw it. If I'm going to talk about these people, I'll talk about these people. So I just won't have that one working, but we're back online. So
I say, move.
okay, we're all good. I can see my little guys and I can click on the little things. Like and and one of my favorite new drops is I say here we are. And it's this, and it upsets a lot of people, especially Jen.
And so here we are.
She doesn't like seeing her face on the screen. So I redid it. So now I can use this one if that offends you.
And so here we are.
I love this show. I do it for myself. All right, maybe this computer will start back up. Well, that was weird. Are you all back? Let's see. What are the comments here? Clean my lens. Blurry lens. This? Look blurry? I don't know. Have you had a little yeah, I'm gonna do that. What's going on there, Red Storm? And what do I mean these people? Oh, shoot. Okay. All right. Yes, and we are back in 5x5 and back and back. Hooray. Okay. So, and yes, and yes, and we are back. Okay. All right. Good. I did a freeze frame. Oh, geez. I'm going to have to watch it. I always try to make sure that I'm like in a good pose or something and not like. So, okay. So let's go on back down here. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, the lens is good now. Excellent. Yes. Because you got to capture all of this handsomeness at once, and it'd be sad to go through a blurry. So, okay. Yeah, clickety clack and clickety click. Okay. So let's see. I don't know how much you heard. So let's do this again. We'll go into here. And did you hear my hey hon? How much did you hear? Oh, she doesn't know. All right. Well, I'll try to do this again. And I was saying originally that this probably just isn't news for women. It's just royal news. Because I only said that I was too lazy to make a royal news opening. And most of the guys I know don't know about these people. So that's why I did that. Anyways, this one is called Middleton Kate. I think Kate Middleton. And she's married to one of the princes, Harry or William. Do you know which one it is down there? She's gone. But one of them. And she's been MIA lately. And they came out and said, I got to type. Come on. They came out lately and said that she has cancer. Okay, so this one's just not going to work. We'll just shut that computer down. There's nothing I can do. Be good, computer. That's the one I do all my my show work on, and so if it dies, I'll have to recreate everything. So I don't feel like doing that. So where were we? We were talking to Kate Middleton, and so she had been MIA, and they came out and said she has cancer, and everyone backs away and they stop talking about her because you say the big C, and people they frown on you if you talk about it, or they kill your live stream, it seems. And so if she does have it, I'm sorry. That's terrible. The procedures they do to fix you. So hopefully she'll be okay. It's just the internet conspiracy was because they were showing doctored photos, and there was what do you call it? Like photoshopped hands were wrong and things, and somebody had a mole and didn't have a mole kind of thing. And I got to turn it on here because I can't not have you guys on the screen where I can talk to you and see you. So we'll do it this way. And so there was a buzz on the internet, and they were saying at the time that one of the theories was that she got pregnant by somebody else, and then he found out about it and got upset and maybe offed her. That's not me saying it, even though it came out of my mouth. That's what the internet was saying. And so I'm still having trouble with Wi-Fi. I sure hope you guys are watching me. All right. I hate to do this story twice, 3 times actually. Sorry, everyone. And the silent wife's up. She's not here, so I don't know if I'm on air. Hopefully we'll be on air soon here. And go to here. I don't know. Ah, there we go. Okay. Let's see where y'all are. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, and then of course there's an ad. So let's see, all messages. There we are. Okay. All right. So basically, that's one of the internet theories, and that they've been pretending she's alive, figuring out when they're going to say that she's no longer with us, when it's convenient. But I don't know that for certain. That's just what the internet theory is. But then I was showing they have this latest one, and to me, her head looks longer than here. That's number one. Number two, I was discussing the slats, not sluts, slats. See, I did the same joke twice. Are smaller and then wider here. And I understand people say, well, it's perspective. But there's not that much of a difference, say, on the header. But even so, it just almost looks like something's been AI'd or whatever in this scenario. And then I discussed how this is a video, and you can see the lines of her shirt, they bleed over into this bench. And so, you could say this maybe is a shadow, but not the lines of her shirt, because they move with her shirt. You can see them all lined up, and they move as she moves her arms. And so to me, it's more like a bleed over kind of effect that you're getting. And if that's not enough, when you play this, and in fact, I don't know if Dave, if you happen to see this stream, Trinity 4, he talked about this, and he had an amazing observation, is that when you go outside, like I do all the time, and you try to film or video anything, even just your iPhone, the ambient noise of birds or dogs or whatever is around your area, this has nothing. And she's not mic'd that we can see. And so it's like it was filmed in a studio, the audio part of it. I don't know. Obviously, there's something wonky about it. And that's why I wanted to bring it up, because they put these things out and they're so in your face that if you just accept it for the narrative, then that's just one more way of being, accepting and giving away your free will. Because I don't know, there's to me something very odd about this. And again, I don't care. I'm just I bring it up because it's interesting to discuss in our discussions. So yeah, I was saying that too, Patty G, that it's probably a cover-up of the thing that could have happened to her. But in any case, enough of that. Melanie, it's all your fault. I don't know where my thing is for that. It's over here, but I can't get to it right now. She sent me this. Now San Jose wants to use the tech company's AI to scan the streets for homeless people cars. So in other words, if you don't have anywhere to go, but you have a car and you can park it somewhere safe and sleep and not bother anyone, they're going to want to have the neighborhoods of San Jose using the cameras that the city owns, and then have AI go through it and find anomalies of someone parked too long or in the same place or whatever, so they can accost them and toss them and steal their stuff and basically rob them. So isn't that great? Coming soon to a theater near you. All right. What's next? I sound angry, but it's just because I had to do that stupid royal story 3 times in a row. Okay. What's this? Oh, I wanted to bring this one up because they now have a name for this optical illusion called the parallax effect, which I have caught myself. Here, I'll show you mine. It's over here. Clickety click. Here it is on the folder called planes, of course. Okay, wait. You started without me. I'm talking to the video, not you all. Okay. So let's see. I'll close that. I'll try it this way. Share screen. And this one doesn't need audio, so I can share it this way. There it is. Okay. Let's see. Can you all see that? Because I can't really see you all. Okay. But check this out. So I usually see these going to and from the airport. And there's a plane. Let's see. You see the plane right here? Let's see if I can move this over. There we go. Oh, wait, there's a make it larger button. Let's try that. Booyah. Okay. So you can see where the plane is. It's by this cactus. This one's a little bit harder to see, but you can see where it's going the opposite direction as me, and it's barely moving if it is at all. It just looks stuck there. Here's another one. The plane is facing the opposite way I'm driving. It's facing that way. The tail end is here. And then here's another one. These are 3 separate days, 3 separate planes. It's hard to do while you're, trying to. Yeah, anyways. Those are the ones that I shot. But then, where is it? Get rid of that. Then there's this one that was on Twitter or X. And they caught a really good one because I think they were in a plane.
Can't see your planes.
Yeah, I know you can't see my plane. So you can see this plane. This one's obvious. And they call it the parallax or paradox effect. It's an optical illusion. And yet that plane's flying the same way as this plane that this gentleman or person is on. And it's just hanging there. I can't explain it other than that ain't no optical illusion parallax effect. Sorry, that's just bizarre. That they don't even understand when they say that what that means. Because I certainly don't. Oh, okay. I guess we could get into this. No, let's wait on this. Because that's let's talk about it now. What the heck with it? Let's do it. Why did I have that ridiculous thumbnail that I put up today, which I was very proud of, by the way, when I put those together? And that movie Paper Moon, if you haven't seen it, it's actually, I think it's a really, really good movie. And it has Ryan O'Neal and his daughter Tatum. And they're basically, what they would call them, I guess, in the day, flim flam people or something. They went around and they did little stunts and stuff to like steal money from people in a way. And they had a bunch of different ways that they would do it with change and things and confusing people. But the other thing he did is he would go through the obituaries in the newspaper, because this was set, I think it's set in the 1920s or something. And he would go through the obituaries and he'd find somebody that died that had money. And he had this little printing machine in his car where he would take a nice Bible and then he would emboss it with this person's name. And then he would go to it was usually a widower woman, and say, your husband ordered these Bibles before he died, but he's dead, so you obviously don't want them now. And of course, with tears in their eyes, they would buy them because they thought that was like the last thing from their loved one. And so, like a snake oil salesman, a charlatan, that kind of thing. So why am I bringing this up? Well, as you saw in the beginning of the show, that Yellowstone video, where I believe on these top end of politics, it's all the same company. They just have good cop, bad cop, and you choose which cop you think is good and which one is bad. But at the end game, they all push the same agenda. And it's been proven time and time again. Sometimes, they're funny and sometimes they're not. And sometimes they seem like they make you feel proud of your country and other times not. So, but at the end of the day, they do the same agenda. And the fact that this gentleman, he's now selling Bibles. And look, if anything can get someone to pick up a Bible and start reading it and then find Jesus, hey, great. I mean, God uses all kinds of people in all kinds of ways to help people figure this out. I mean, look, you're watching one. And so if that works, that's a blessing. But let's not forget who we're dealing with. I mean, he's selling Bibles, and his version, God Bless USA, and it has like the Constitution in it and the Bill of Rights and some other American documents, like their Holy Scripture. Okay. Again, if it's going to help somebody finally pick up a Bible and read it, then hey, great. It's just know what you're dealing with. And when I say it's great if someone picks up a Bible and reads it, it's because I'm starting to feel like, honestly, there are more people that believe the earth is flat than read the Bible. And I'm talking about pastors too, or YouTube channels, or anybody that wants to discuss the Bible. I feel very few of them actually read it. And by reading it, I mean reading it daily, wanting to read it, fascinated by the stories, writing them, figuring them out, putting them in order, trying to understand this world that we live in. Because all of the answers are in those scriptures, the ones that we're allowed to know. The rest of them, it's all conjecture from either the side of science or the side of Christians or the side of truthers or whatever. But if you don't have Jesus and you don't have truth, you can call yourself a truther, but you're leaving out the truth. He's called the way, the truth, the light, the life, whatever you want, Mandela. So this book, fine. If you're finally going to read the Bible, if you buy Trump's version, great. Okay. It's just, don't forget, he also sells sneakers. Sells sneakers. He was a wrestler. In fact, I'm not even stupid enough to play this little whatever this clip is. The one time when I first started doing this live streaming, my first thing that I got shut down for and then I got blocked was because I showed this clip where Trump, as a wrestler, takes down Ed McMahon. And this wasn't the only thing he did, on being a wrestler. He's a wrestler. He's an actor. He has a star. It used to be a different color, but now they're all pink, I guess. But he has a star. He's an actor. He had the TV show, The Apprentice. I mean, I could go on and on and on. They're all actors. They all play their part. It's all, as what was it, Shakespeare, if there was a real guy, the world is a stage, or whoever said that. P.T. Barnum. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Interchange the names. Doesn't matter. The world is a stage. They tell us all the time. They're puppets. And they do their positions and they keep us docile while they push their agenda no matter what. Because this is the same guy that, he held up this thing and everyone was like, wow, I've never seen a president like endorse a product before. We had the Operation Warp Speed. And then of course he goes on Space Force, which for those of us watching my channel, we don't believe that there's a space to need a force. There's already a force. There's that force field called the firmament. It's written on Werner von Braun with the extra letter in his name. It's on his gravestone. He put the quote, Psalm, was it 119 or 919? Somebody write it in there. But it's like, where he talks about there's a firmament. The guy that invented NASA, the ex-Nazi that came over. Some of them went into NASA and the rest of them went into Disney. Shocking. That's why I say there's cartoons on those planets and stuff. But we'll get into that. So he's got that going for him. He's also the guy, like, look, we've been going a ridiculous amount of debt since since the 60s. I found when we went to the Reagan Library, and he was doing a speech in the 60s saying how much debt we were in. But when you look at this scroll, And you see that, here, this is where are we at? Hundreds, thousands, millions. So we're at billions here in the 30s. We're at billions debt outstanding. And then it goes exponentially up there. We're at like 270. We're still in the billions. We don't really hit the trillion until we get into the 80s. So that was Reagan years, right? That was actually the first years I got to vote for president. I was so proud that I could, not in this one, I got to vote for him here in the 84. But you see, we hit a trillion when he's in office now. And then, of course, it goes exponentially. We go through, was it Reagan's, and then we got Bush, and then we got Clinton's, and then I think another Bush, and then I don't know, we got Obama in there somewhere. And you can just see this number just going ridiculous. And then, of course, Trump got in there and he spent more than the last three of them. And then, of course, now we got Biden who says, hold my beer. And so now we're at their favorite number, of course. We're at $33 trillion. I want to do this when I say that, but yeah. So it doesn't matter who's in office. This number never went down. It only went up. It doesn't matter who was in office. It just kept going up. So doesn't matter which side you want, red team or blue team. Who cares? They're all the same. Bird of prey. There's a left wing and a right wing, and they feast on us. Spending has grown almost $800 billion since 2016. And the thing is they've thrown numbers at us, billion and trillion. We don't even comprehend it. We can't understand it. So nobody cares. If they talk to numbers that we can understand, that's equal to so many thousands of dollars in a room or something, maybe we could comprehend it. But once they got into the billions and the trillions, nobody cares because we don't even understand these numbers. We just say, oh, that's a big number. And was it, how many trillion did they lose right before that event in September? And that was Building 7 that, somehow fell on its own. And they lost all the data of the Federal Reserve and how many trillions they had missed. So it's just, it's enough of that. How do we get out of this screen share for a second? Have some coffee. Thank you. Yeah. Is that it? 1930? I forget. And it's coffee. That's all I have up here. Not that I'm opposed to anybody having a drink or so. I just don't drink anymore. I used to have Oreos during the show all the time, which was my code name for beer. Oreo. But yeah. So yeah. So possibly that. But the way I see it is this. If they're pushing him as a Bible thumping Christian, they're trying to make the Christian audience that's looking for someone, because they see what's going on in the world. I mean, everyone sees what's going on in the world. It's really kind of nuts. And so they're looking for a savior. And unfortunately, that's why I say no one's reading the Bible, is because you're not supposed to look for it in a man. Your savior is Jesus. Your savior is through your relationship with God. It's not any man's going to come and save you. That's part of the trick. And so the people that they think that they're sitting in truth, and they think that Trump's coming to save this country, or they think Russell Brand and he's got a 33 tattoo on his arm, and it's just, they're put in place to keep you cozy. That was the whole Q movement. Same thing. I'm sure that is gearing up too again, because that's where they were sitting. They tell you some truths, maybe, who knows, but there were some truths about what's going on in Hollywood and stuff. And then they tell you, don't worry, what is it? Patriots are in control. And I have a video on that. I could find that. I'll play it. But it's the same. I feel it's the same idea. It's like, don't worry, Trump's coming back and he'll say, and that's just incorrect thinking, because at the end of the day, they all work together. They go to the same parties. They have more in common with each other than they ever will with us or you, whoever's listening to this. I've said it many times. It was funny because they used to show Mitt Romney when he was running for president, and he went to the grocery store and he couldn't even figure out how to open the doors, and they're automatic doors. So yeah, here it is. Let's see. I can play this thing. Let's do that. Because that was part of my awakening. I went through. Okay, wait. Oh, wait. We got an amendment here. It's Psalm 9. That sounds better. Yeah, because the 9/11 codings. Psalm 19:1. The heavens declare the glory of God. And what is the rest of it? And the firmament is proof. God says it better than I do. So, did I give up the sauce? Well, I mean, like I said, I don't drink anymore. So I guess so. But if I went to a party somewhere and they were toasting and having, I might have a beer or so. It's just not like I don't want to down them anymore. First of all, it's an extra source of calories and carbs, beer. And, wine, okay. But when you get done working outside, I sound like a truck commercial, but you get done working outside and it's hot, and, you do this, you just want to crack open a beer. You don't want to have a glass of wine. So I just, the heck with all of it. So, and I don't drink soda. I would definitely have a beer or wine or other alcohol drink before I choose a soda. Although, I'll occasionally have that too. Sometimes you just have to. Remember, we're in this world, we're not of it. So you can't just shut everything out. I mean, you can, but that's even harder way to live than what we're doing. So, okay, where are we at here? Yeah, exactly. And of course, a Christian soldier would say that. Say that only Jesus can save us. Yeah, it's just the way it is. It's the way it is. Thank you, JT. You finished it. And the firmament shows his handiwork. See, I told you God says it way better than I do every time. Where's my guy? Can't find. There he is.
That's very true.
Just connect that together because it took me a while to find it. And okay, so what do we got? What is this? Tart cherry juice for sleep. All right. I'll make a note of that. Tart cherry juice. Although I don't know if I'd want to drink much of that. But yeah, let's see. What is this? Okay, what do you got here going, Jack? What does it say? If Biden drank beer, we'd be better off, but he seems to drink straight vodka with Pelosi. Yeah, so we're screwed because they drink screwdrivers, vodka, Kool-Aid, jumbo. That's funny. You're funny. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's see. Where are we at here? Yeah, and I used to have this joke too. I don't drink anymore. I don't drink any less, but I just don't. Still a good joke though. Let's see. Yeah, and again, and if you read the scriptures, it even says, like, it's not a sin to drink. Jesus was handing out wine better than anyone in the Bible. But what he says is, don't do like them and get, drunk to where you lose your senses and you can open yourself up, to demonic possession, if you want to call it that. But you can open yourself up to bad things. And so, and then also, we all believe that he's coming. And if he comes and you're drunk and you're passed out, you won't know what happened. So he says, don't get drunk. But it doesn't say you can't have a glass of wine, or he wouldn't have handed it out. Just like same thing with food, with fish. Jesus has you have meat because he handed out fish. If Jesus didn't want you to eat any meat, he wouldn't be handing out fish. So, okay, where are we at now? Let's see. Yeah, to me, this is even worse. Yeah. So, yeah, I could deal with some more cran raspberry. That has a little sweeter flavor to it. Okay, what are we doing? I'm off on a tangent, or a Tatari juice. Okay, let's see. What do we have? Okay, we did the sparrow stories. We'll get to the photo stacking, the moon eye. Oh, Trisha, see, we're working up some soap probably next week. So I just made a note in case you're here listening. So we'll do that. And okay, let's see. Let's go into, where's my photos? Which is the one I was looking for? Not here. Okay. You must be in
Pineapple juice is yummy.
I do love pineapple juice. And that's a cool thing too. You can get a can of pineapple and then you get juice on top of it. It's really cool. So, all right. Why am I not finding what I'm looking for? I'm not looking in the right place. Let's see. Clickety click. Boat. God, planes. S. Space. Where did you go? Get rid of that. Delete that. All right, let me bring this up. It's in this folder. I'll just bring the folder up. We'll go from there. Go here, here. All right. I thought this was funny. I might have shown it before, but it's worth looking at it again. But when we get older, instead of being separated in Harry Potter house, which one are you? It's it's this. It truly is this. Okay. Built in 3 years, a population of 20,000 in 1896 with no roads. And then built in 5 years with a population of 150,000 in 2023. So, yeah, we're going to discuss this and why these buildings look like this, I believe. Because my theories on everything, as I read more, keep changing. So, there's a Wisconsin man legally named D's Nuts. I swear I thought Tommy was going to be in this article. And was arrested in domestic altercation. So, and I heard he's out and I hope he's doing well. Okay, what do we have here? I need stitches. This is in Great Britain with the Mandela flag. Your appointment's in 43 months. In America with the Mandela flag, I need stitches. Your bill will be $67,000. And then in Canada with the Mandela Maple Leaf, have you considered dying? Because, you know, they do that. They offer you alternatives to that. It's very just wonderful. Calling yourself non-binary categorizes everyone as binary or non-binary, thus creating a binary system, which makes you binary. It's logic, right? It's logic, I think. Okay. We'll just move on. I wanted to show you this one. So I recently took that trip to California, and I pulled out my phone and I put on the the compass. And I'm not kidding. Is this amazing? That was the flight path that we were doing. It's 333 degrees northwest. You can't make this stuff up. It's hilarious. Okay. Oh, we don't need the sound. These are the things I shot from the plane. And can we make this larger? Let's see. Does this one do it? Oh, there we go. So a couple of things I wanted you to see. That one's Mount Rainier. I mean, it's incredible how tall that thing is. And the fact that the entire flight from Washington, where I'm at, to Southern California, there were clouds. And I'm not just talking a cloud. I'm talking this complete mesh of clouds. In addition to that, there were clouds up here. And we're flying what they say, isn't it 33,000 feet, something like that. And there was planes above us that were laying cloud work here. And then there was another opening area here, and then more clouds down there, and then the land below that. And so when they talk about doing the solar minimum, which they have for a few years now, I think they've already accomplished it, because this blanket of clouds just stretched the entire trip. How'd that one go? Okay, there we go. But I just thought there were some cool shots from up above. So this was one area that you could see through the whole cloud area. And that was snow on these. Oh, no, those are clouds too. I take that back, because there was snow here. But no, these are clouds still. And then it's just one blanket of cloud. And that's another cool thing that you can see. Mount Rainier, Mount Hood, Mount Shasta, and Mount St. Helens, or what's left of it, still in one shot. Let's see. Whoops. Yeah, look at that. You can see it's all clouds just covering this. And then there's another set of clouds up here. That thing's just massive. They say it's an extinct volcano. What's this? Just more of the area that I thought was really interesting looking. But it's tough to do through a window of a plane. I could have gone all William Shatner and busted out the window and tried to take the pictures, but it didn't go so well for him either. So I decided to sit inside. And there's something on the wing. Here, look. See, this is what I'm talking about. Just complete blanket of clouds. And then you can see the mountain poke through. But it's just a seamless cloud bank. And I understand we're in winter and blah, blah, blah. But I've flown before, and this is bizarre. It just went on almost the entire length of the trip. And we're up in the air at least, a couple hours, I believe, for that flight. So, what's this one? Oh, this is what's left of Mount St. Helens. And I believe the 8 cave lava tubes that Jen and Jeannie and I went through were like somewhere way over here, not even connected to this thing. We actually never did get to it. So, is that it? Okay. All right. I think that's all. How do I get out of it now? Let's see. Escape. There we go. I need to escape. I think that's all that was on the show and tell on that one. Let's see. So we'll go back into here. And it must be under the... Okay, here we are. It's in Space Moon. Okay. And Moon Eye. Okay. So I did want to discuss... Let's see. Where are we at? Are we at that moment? We'll move some of these around. I guess in a way we could say that we're starting scary space news. So we might as well just throw that out there, get it out of the way. Dun dun dun. See, I can't even find my own drops. This week in scary space news. Scary space news, or so they say. I thought this was interesting.
Who owns the rights to the interior of the Great Pyramid? NASA.
So NASA owns the rights to the interior, and you can look these things up.
What? I was told by one of the guides a couple years ago that they've discovered something technological about it, and they want to control it.
That's spooky, man.
They also own the rights to a section of the Grand Canyon. So I took a helicopter down into the Grand Canyon. They said we can't walk to this area. That area I heard had some old carvings or something would be over in this area. So I started trying to walk that way. And this guy pops out of nowhere with all black on, black hat, black military outfit with no logos, and an AR-15 and tells me, halt, you can't go any further. I'm like, well, why? I said, what's going on? Oh, didn't they tell you couldn't come over here? I said, well, they did, but I'm thinking, I just want to see, what's over here.
Right.
And he says, you can't come. I said, well, why? What? I said, can you just tell me, sir, like, why can't I come over here? He says, NASA owns the rights to this section. You can't come over here.
Okay. So why would they own the rights to it? Their speculation is like some kind of alien technology. But for what I've understood and for what we've discussed, like on Jen and Shapu's channel, there's evidence down there of the old societies, of the giants, or some things that they don't want the narrative to get out there. They want to keep it as aliens. When we know that that's, they're not coming from outside of Earth, whatever aliens are. And so, so that was just a little tip of the iceberg thing. But look at this. Have you all, because I filmed this too. Have you noticed the moon is in this weird upside down phase, like a Cheshire cat moon? It's been doing this quite a bit. And the thing is when you line it up to what we were taught in school, it doesn't come close to that. So when did this allow this Cheshire Cat moon look? So I thought that's an interesting thing. Again, I'm not giving you answers on these. I'm just telling you to look up. God says it's going to be signs and wonders in the sky. He doesn't say there's going to be answers in the sky. He says there's going to be signs and wonders in the sky. There's going to be signs and there's going to be things that make you wonder. And then maybe you pick up this book, the Bible, or that thing's backwards. Turn it this way. You pick up the Bible or you make your connection to God and you ask him, because that's where you're going to find your answers. As I get another commercial. Okay. Skip. Just skip them. Okay. That's where you find your answers. It's not coming from a book. Well, take that back. You'll find them in the Bible, but you're not going to find them because of things happening in the sky. Those are your signs to point you to something's happening. The next generation of the C drug. There's certain things you can't talk about on YouTube, and it's becoming that one now. So be on the lookout. A lot more people are going to be getting this. Has nothing to do with what's been going in the last few years. Just more and more people are getting it at all different ages. Interesting. And the next generation of these is going to be produced in space. And how do we know that? Because of the cartoons. See? So when they show you cartoons, then, you're being lied to. Okay, here's the video that was sent. And basically what he wanted me to, or he or she, whoever, wanted me to see was this particular gentleman, but anybody can do this. And the idea was to take pictures and then do what's called photo stacking. And then you'll see them closely related to what you see in NASA's. Now, first of all, he had this. I've shot stars, and that's exactly how I see them. They're magical colors. They change shapes. They're amazing. And you can see it with your naked eye on some of them. You can see it with binoculars. So whatever this word he's using to explain it away, that's how they are. It's not what NASA shows me. And I have videos I can show you. In addition, I have seen this look through my telescope too. That's Saturn. And it does have a very similar shape as to what they show us from NASA. And I would agree, because I have seen this with my telescopes. And the same thing with Jupiter. But then he takes this, which is the way I have seen it, and then by doing a whole bunch of some kind of editing, see, this is how I've seen Jupiter, like this. And somehow through stacking, it changes this and reprocessing. And again, now you're putting it through all kinds of machinery. You can tell me what it's doing, but what you're doing is, in my mind, again, it's me talking, you're doing the same thing NASA does. You're putting it through a computer programming, and you're enhancing it to get this look and that look. And that's not how I see it. I could be wrong. There could be something to this whole stacking thing. But the idea is, let's see, is it on this one? Yeah, because look, just because someone's showing you how they did something in processing, you could get something like this, that it looks like a genuine video of someone, what do you call it? Zooming in on the moon. I've done this. That's another amazing thing. You can see the moon better from a camera on the ground than they show you from space. All right. Why am I showing you this? Because just that easy, it went from a potentially normal video to one that's been enhanced. You can't do this. No one can do this. There was just a tiny bit of an editing cut right before the footprint appears. And it's that easy to deceive someone. So whatever's going on in these programs to take this view that you normally see in the sky to look like this. I don't know what program he's using to do it, but as they say in Amongst Us, it's sus. That's all. For me, anyways. Because just that easy, you can fake a video and put a footprint in it. By the way, did you all know this is going on? There's a blood moon eclipse. I don't know. It says Friday, March 29th. But this thing's been up for a couple of days. So I don't know what's happening here. I think this is but just the fact that we've had these, it's another sign that they say to look for in the end times. And yeah, see, look, this is how I've seen Jupiter, more like this. But anyways, that's all, Photoshop too. This is how I've seen Saturn looking through my telescope. Not like this or this. These are cartoons. They're cartoons. Hubble telescope cartoons. You go and find Saturn with a heavy enough or whatever, good enough, well enough telescope, whatever I'm thinking of, you'll see this. Maybe. Most of the time you'll see it even blurrier. I don't see any like that one. Most of the time you'll see it more like kind of like that almost, with not even that much definition. So but I'm not buying any of these. Just not doing it. They're cartoons. You won't unconvince me these are cartoons. These are not things that have actually been photographed in space. Not looking like this. Not when the moon photos are worse than the ones I can take myself with my camera. Okay, well, we'll get to the eclipse in a minute. We're not ready to go there yet. We're going to talk about that. Why not? Everybody else does. Okay, what do we got here? Where are y'all? Clickety click. We'll go here. Where are you all? Here we are.
And so here we are.
If you're here, Jen, I hope you like that one better. She didn't like the other one. So Zoom on the moon. Yes, I'm a poet and I don't know it. Thank you very much. I'm here all night. And you know why I'm here all night?
I got nowhere else to go. I got nowhere else to go.
Everyone's like, wow, he hasn't hit the buttons all night tonight. Don't worry. I'll make up for it. Want tiger vomit? I got tiger vomit. Not at all.
No, thank you.
Okay. But just remember, as they say at Juan Thru's house,
There are no experts.
and if I can think about it, oh my goodness, I told you I met the Samoan watchman the other day. He's got a story and a half. If I don't know, I never talked to him if I could talk about it on air, so we'll see. But wow, what an amazing man and father. So
True. Yep. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
oh, I know what happened. We were watching. Sometimes I have to get out of like truthing, or I have to get out of reading the Bible and stuff. And so we watch just regular shows, or we'll read a book. And so I tried to do that, and then I got this.
Someone should get fired over this, right?
So we tried to watch this movie the other day,
Let's just read each other's
and then all of a
minds. Be
sudden
pretty
he
sure that I
decides
need
to
read
do
yours.
this. Uh-oh. Well, that's wrong.
You want to know?
That was someone's getting fired, is what that was.
So I was reading this book the other day and came across this, where this character was given a Kit-Dash-Cat. In fact, they did it twice. The proofreader missed both of these because there's no dash in Kit Kat.
That was someone's getting fired, is what that was.
You don't have to look for the Mandela effect. It just finds you, right? Isn't that what they used to say about, was it Chuck Norris? Chuck Norris finds you? Something like that. Santa Claus? I don't know. Somebody. So, Okay. Where's the one with the lady in the rocking chair? You know, I have to clear them out sometimes. And I took that one out of rotation. I thought I'd overused it. So she's not there. She's not there. But you know who is here? This lady.
And so here we are.
I like that one better than the original. I might stick with that one. And then Jen will be happy because she hated this.
And so here we are.
And people are like, "Oh my God, would you just please stop playing that?" And what's my answer to that? Oh, where'd he go? I had you. He was right there, and now he's gone. This one, no. Oh, anyways, I can fix it in post edit if I ever find him, but I can't find him. So, where did he go? I just saw his silly face. I'm gonna find it. Here. I don't care. I don't even know the reference as to why I was playing that. So, anyways, it took too long. Okay, what do we have? What's next? Yeah, I've had a lot of dollar ones. That's that dollar sign. You saw that in the video. It was kind of hard to hear. But it's like sometimes, oh man, I just want to watch a show. And then my wife's, she's understanding. And I'll back it up and I'll record it really fast. And then we'll continue on. And so sometimes it's just, it's a bit rough. Things get rough sometimes around here. Come on, that was worth a rim shot. So, and if you don't like that, here's cats doing yoga. Okay, those aren't cats, they're chicks. Whatever. I screwed the joke too. Just sick of this. Oh my God. Maybe I do need an Oreo. This coffee's not doing it, right, honey? And no, that's my dog. I'm not talking. Slap my wife. Okay. How do we get out of this? Because we need to get out.
That's very true.
So let's go back. I don't even remember what we were talking about. Oh, yeah, we were going to go to these. We were discussing cartoons versus real planets and stuff. And let's see. Where is it at here? Let's see. Clickety click. Go here and here. There we go. Okay. Cartoons. They don't even, I mean, a lot of these I have in my outro. So I put some of them together here. But they change the shapes and the colors depending on what year they give us. And they've admitted that they Photoshopped these. And so the fact that we still have no clear picture of the Earth from space, and we have this Hubble telescope, it's very sus. And depending on what country you're at, you get different looks completely. Whereas, in my belief, we're covered. So none of this matters because you can't get out, but also means things can't get in. So, God protected us. That's why it's there. They can prove that it's Photoshopped. These are in my outro. And this guy is known as, I mean, he's so famous for his little voice saying it's Photoshop, but it has to be. He's the guy that made the blue marble. And within it, you can see clouds that have been duplicated. It's processed. These photos don't match up. Why do they do this? They're hiding the existence of God and all these things. Let's see. 33. Yeah, this one. We don't even know how the eye works. And yet we're supposed to believe that it's a complete accident. We came from primordial soup. I'm not buying into that anymore. And the fact that when there's an eclipse, I actually did a whole show on this. And it's the same schematics they give us for how the eye lens works. But this is the only time that the sun's rays don't come parallel. Somehow, like a weird lens in Star Wars, they focus in this pattern to where they then can create this shadow. Because if the lines stay parallel like they say they are the rest of the time, it doesn't make this. But science and math and shut up. And this is how black holes are created. There we go. This is what I wanted to show. So again, do I think that you can get planets to look like they're shown? Yes and no. I showed you what I think, what I've seen Saturn looking like and Jupiter looking like. But the fact that they show you this is Pluto and this is an actual NASA photo, and yet it has Pluto in it, and they were both formed and discovered the same year. As it says in my ending, they're here to mock you. These are shots I've taken of the moon. It has to be translucent, because no matter what the color of the sky is, that's the color of your moon. And you can see as this sky changes color, the moon changes with it. And I took these with a camera. What is it? One I can't even pick it up here. It's a Sony camera. I've shown it before. It's nothing special, but I can get closer pictures and photos than you see from the stuff from space. These are all looking similar, but. And again, all of these, we've talked about it. These are supposed like meteor strikes or something that hit the moon. None of them are like scraped this way. They're all perfectly round circles. Okay. See, and then here's a different color sky. Because the moon's out all the time now during the day. I can get lots of pictures of it. And it changes with the color of the sky. You're going to tell me it's something about light reflection or whatever. These are cool. These are like haunted house ones. Look at that one. And this moon was this big in the sky. And so you're going to tell me it's 239,000 miles away? I'm going to say, nay, nay. I'm going to say this is not an optical illusion. I believe, my theory, since God says the moon's in the firmament, since he seems like this world likes his numbers, it's either 33 or 66 miles away. That's it. Because when it looks this big in the sky, you can read by it. Look at that. From a camera on Earth. Look at that thing. That's cool. All right. Enough moon pictures. Yeah, there you go. So, and I think it was 1937. They found Pluto and they drew him. And I told you half the Nazis went into NASA and the other half went into Disney. And then they show us stuff like this, which we've covered before, where you can see that there's no air tightness to this at all. It's got curtain rods and colored tape and no blast crater. And this thing should have like had this amazing amount of thrust blasting down. Nothing. No dust or anything in these. This one actually lost some of its tinfoil. Not to mention the different light sources that you can light up people when they're in the shade and stuff. You can find those photos too. Or the fact that no electrician in the world would ever build this. I mean, it makes no sense. It's just to make it look complicated. That's how they get away with this nonsense, is science and math and shut up. And they just make it look so complicated, nobody questions it. Or the fact that this guy, I mean, they used to say he was in orbit, and now they're saying he's not, and I don't know. Again, that's in my ending. NASA lost 14,000 reels of science data from the fake moon landing accidentally. It would have been a room full of material. Where are we at? Yeah, and then if you watch the interview that they did after they came back, instead of jumping around and screaming and saying that, hey, I went to the moon, I'm one of the only people alive that made it and back and set foot on another place other than Earth, This is how they do the interview. They look depressed, like they were lied to, and now they have to lie the rest of their lives to the public. Space Shuttle Challenger. We've gone over these. I'm looking for something here. Yeah, because look, you can see this on a daily basis. These aren't parallel lines. You can follow these up to the light source. But they're teaching us, just like in that movie or that book, 1984, 2 + 2 does not equal 4. They want it to think it equals 5. So you go, wait, I look at this, and these don't look like parallel lines. And they go, those are parallel lines. And then you go, okay, and they took Picard's name and put him into Star Trek, but he's the guy that went up there and said this. So where is it? All right. I'm not finding what I needed. Okay, let's stop this. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? I guess it's not there. It says it was there. Where'd it go? Maybe it's in his Space Moon. All right, let's try this one. I think I have the wrong. I've got so many folders of moon and space, but yeah, here's another great actual photo of them landing on the moon. Again, no blast crater, no dust in any of these footings. And it just, you can see openings in the seams. And then, did they just put this together right here? Because there's no tire tracks in front or behind that I can see. Maybe you can say that there's one here, but there's 4 tires. You should see 2 lines of tracks. And in addition to that, this thing, of course, it was disassembled, they say, had to fit in here along with the astronauts and all the other gear that they had. Just none of it adds up anymore. None of it. Yeah, so here you go. See, the moon takes this color of the sky behind it. And look how large they look in these photos. It's huge. And it's like all the countries do it. It's part of this whole ruse. And it doesn't mean everyone has to know that it's fake, just a certain amount of people throughout the world. Because when you see light reflecting on a solid object, it doesn't look like this. And it doesn't look like that when they're on the moon. You would think they wouldn't be able to see anything. The whole thing would be lit up. And then there's this one, which when they had the live stream of their landing, I think it was the Japanese, whatever this is, like a black hole's formed on the Earth. That was pretty cool. It's in these. And don't forget, everyone, if I could find my everyone guy, where is he? He's over here. Everyone is saying that there is some kind of firmament around a stationary Earth, except one, the big blue marble people. So, okay, let's get back into this. What am I looking for? These are all cartoons. That's a cartoon. You cannot get the sun to look like that through a telescope. Where is it? Here we go. Cartoons. These are cartoons. Even through that guy's stacking program, it came close to this, but it doesn't look like these. You can't get these planets to look like this unless you have cartoons. And look at their moon. My moon, of course, this doesn't do it its justice, but my moon had way more definition than this. And that's the best they can do from space. And they always show you the sun exploding and things shooting out and trying to make people here on Earth thinking that something bad's going to happen when they don't know anything, and neither do you. So, all right, I think that's enough of the cartoons. because all these are cartoons. Center of the Earth. What's in the center of the Tootsie Pop? They don't even know. It's a cartoon. He even thinks that this is a ceiling fan.
Fan photoshopped into a picture of Jupiter or a satellite orbiting Jupiter?
I'm going with satellite on this one. I feel pretty confident about that.
No, it's a ceiling fan. It's a ceiling fan. Okay. Enough of that nonsense. So, yeah. So, to answer that, the question or the statement that I started with, I understand the whole stacking thing. My observations is what I'm going with. I can see Saturn and Jupiter looking similar, but not even close to the cartoons that we see. So I will continue to showcase those as cartoons, because you can't prove that you can get that look without some type of help. Okay. Let's get out of that discussion. So we covered the whole space and the moon. And let's see, do we need any more of those photos? We'll do that next week or so. So we'll get rid of that. So we're good there. How's everyone doing? Having fun? I hope so. Okay, so we're still doing a version of Scary Space News, because now everyone's talking about this eclipse that's coming. And I find it fascinating, too, that whatever it is, you've got, is it this one? Let's see. Oh, that's that photo stacking thing. Okay, let's get rid of this. That's the photo stacking one. So we'll get rid of that. Thank you for that information on that, though. I do appreciate anybody that wants to write to me. And, like I said, if it's a long comment, send it to my email, and then it won't disappear. Because I said yes, and it never showed up. So NASA is going to be firing rockets at the solar eclipse, because that's what we do in America. We don't understand something, we just shoot at it. So yeah, and they're going to tell you how they're trying to do things to figure out and blah blah blah. But anyways, we're shooting rockets at the eclipse because we can. And then and this is what they are going to look like. And so, because that's what you do. There's an eclipse, you shoot it. Save the pieces. I don't know what they're eating down there. And in addition to that, CERN, our friends over at CERN, are going to test their particle accelerator during the solar eclipse to search for invisible matter that secretly powers our universe. Interesting. Some people call that the ether. Some people call that God. They call it invisible matter. And if that's not enough to put shivers down your spine, shiver me timbers, they've now announced the discovery of a 4D phantom. They're now telling you straight up that this is a demon technology and that there's a ghost in the machine. They call a mysterious entity has been detected within CERN. They literally are telling you it's the ghost of the machine. They have a demon technology, sort of like we've been telling you all along. Watch the Goddard Tunnel opening ceremony if you don't know what I'm talking about. It has nothing to do with science. It's a complete satanic ritual, along with Baphomet and the birthing of an Antichrist. And if you don't believe me, go watch it. You'll see. I hate playing it now. It's just so creepy. But yeah, so now they're just telling you straight up, yeah, we got demons in these machines. It's just great. So what does all this mean? And I like this one. This person did a whole thing about on March 22nd, ISIS, the terrorist organization named after Egyptian goddess of fertility, attacked Crocus City Hall, a place named after a flower that symbolizes fertility, during Ostara, a pagan holiday that celebrates fertility. And it goes on and on and on about all the weird coinky-dinks. But what I do like, even shows like some movie they compared it to goings on, whatever. what I like about it is the end part of this, because this is where I'm hitching my horse or whatever you want to call it. It says, so what does all this mean? Nothing. Our world is run by pagans and demons. We live in evil times. Find God. Mic drop. That's really the answer right there. And that's also goes to the question about like the times that we live in and how people can get hurt and stuff. So we'll continue with that. Let's back it up a bit. Things that we can see. Euphrates Rivers is drying
Euphrates
up.
River is drying up.
That's what I said.
It's mentioned in Revelation.
Yep, it happened.
Joel 2 says, and Matthew it says it, that the moon will be turned to blood. Scientists just found out that there's rusting happening on the moon. They don't even know how it's happening because there's no oxygen up there.
And we talked about that on this show.
But they call it hematite, which is where you get the word hema, blood. They don't even realize that they're quoting the Bible. The sun will be made dark. Now, I don't know if this eclipse has any prophetic value to it, but it is a strange eclipse where the sun is going to be fully dark even over America. The Bible says that Mystery Babylon will be destroyed in 1 hour by fire. There's only one way you can destroy a nation with fire in 1 hour: nuclear bombs.
No, I don't know about
so
that.
Much talk about nuclear bombs.
They do talk about it a lot.
I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to prepare you. Of all the 52 weeks, it's a good week to tell people about Jesus.
So I like what he says there, because here's the thing. I'm not buying into the whole nuclear bomb scenario as they told us. And I'm not saying that this is a sign of the end times. Like, for instance, let's go over this one, and then I'll give you my take on this all.
They have built the altar on the Mount of Olives and hummus. One of the major reasons that they attacked Israel in October was because of the red heifers, because the Dome of the Rock sits on the Temple Mount right now. And by doing this sacrifice of the red heifers, it is an all-out threat of being like, we're going to get rid of the Dome of the Rock and rebuild the temple. The Muslims were just like, no way.
It's a whole different narrative. What are the potential implications of this being enacted?
The Dome of the Rock is completely sacred to the Muslim faith.
Yep.
And if that's destroyed, you will not only have every Muslim nation, you'll have every Muslim in the world. Well, it'll be like the Battle of Armageddon, which talks about all the nations rising up against Israel. It's crazy that they literally have a sacrifice altar built. And they said it'll happen
recently built?
By the time this comes out, they could have already done it, because they said it'll happen any day between now and Passover, which is in the end of April. So I say all that just to be like, yo, just be ready for anything.
Okay, so there's that take on it. And then I think Ronley sent me this, and these two gentlemen talk about it too, and they have a really good video on it. And what's that called? Amazing Discoveries. But and this gentleman, he went over it about how this eclipse is going through Nineveh. There's a bunch of cities named Nineveh. We've all talked about that. And what's interesting is he also goes over the fact that there's talked about that there was an eclipse right around the time that Jonah was going to Nineveh. And if you don't know the stories of the Bible, Jonah was directed by God to go to Nineveh, which was this really huge, took 3 days to walk through, but known as being very wicked. But they also all knew him there. And he didn't want to walk around going, the sky is falling, you need to repent because wrath is coming, because they would think he was crazy. And so instead, I mean, they even show like Babel was there. I don't know. But instead, he goes on a boat and he goes the opposite way. And of course, the boat gets crazy. It's going to crash. And they draw lots and they figure out that it's Jonah's fault. And he forces them to toss him overboard. And then, of course, God has, originally it was a whale. Now it's a giant fish. But either way, he gets swallowed up. He's gone for 3 days, just like Jesus does on the cross. After he gets, after he's crucified, he's gone 3 days. And so when Jonah comes back out, saw the error of his ways, he goes to the town and he does this preaching about how, look, you got to repent. Wrath is coming. And possibly, like this gentleman on the video was saying, because of this eclipse, like, we can prepare for these. They can say, hey, there's an eclipse coming on this day. But back then they had no way of knowing. And so the fact that maybe they saw this eclipse at the same time he was going around saying, repent, judgment's coming, because it honestly makes no sense that basically heathens and pagans or whatever they were at the time would listen to this guy coming from, a completely different place, believing in a different thing, God of the Bible and stuff, and listen to him and repent like that. So I believe that there had to have been something that, as they say, scared the shit out of them. And maybe this, eclipse happening at the same time and the sun goes down during the day and they freak out. But something caused this city, the whole city, to repent and find God. And it's funny because at the end of the story, Jonah gets pissed because now he does look crazy. He actually sits, this is him sitting at the edge of the city waiting for its destruction, but it never comes because they do repent. And so there's a couple takeaways from this. One is that no matter how bad things have gotten in your life, you can repent. The guy on the cross next to Jesus said, I don't believe in you, but can I be saved? And he goes, now you're saved. I mean, it happened that easy. The guy never read the Bible, didn't believe in Jesus. He was being strung up next to him. He got saved. And so here's Jonah sitting there waiting for this destruction. But the thing that people forget, at least people that talk about the Bible and obviously don't read it, is that more than God's wrath is his love and his patience. And so he asked Jonah to do this, knowing that they could save the city. And he did. And so you can be saved at any moment, no matter what you've done in your life. You just have to repent on it. And what's funny, too, is he sits at the edge of the city wanting the destruction to come. And how many people in real life right now, I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but like Christians and stuff that are looking forward to the end times. I want it to come fast. I want the wrath. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. That's a very selfish position. What we're supposed to be is kind and patient and to wait. That's what God tells the people that cry out from the grave. When are we ever going to be avenged? And he's like, just wait a little bit longer, because it's not about you. It's about your neighbor. It's about your loved one. It's about someone that is asleep, or whatever you want to say the word is, that doesn't know what's going on. Or if they do, they're pushing against it because they're afraid to completely let go and see what's going on in the world. And so we're supposed to be patient and wait. And we're not supposed to do it with anger in our heart as he's sitting here waiting for the destruction, because it doesn't come, which he should be thrilled. He just saved how many thousands of people? I don't know how many people lived in Nineveh. He saved them all. But instead he's upset because he thinks that they're going to think he's crazy now, because he went through the town and said it's going to get crushed, and then it doesn't. But that's a whole other part of the story. So now, as far as this whole Nineveh thing, which, by the way, I'll put the link to this video, because they even show that they drew about the eclipse in those days, in these hieroglyphics or whatever you want to call these things. So it was known. I think Josephus wrote about it too. And so one of the things they say is that it's going to be close. The eclipse will be right near this constellation that is a whale in the sky, which is really, or a big fish, which is interesting. It's not exactly in it, but it's really close. Okay, so now you got this 2024 eclipse that's going to go across this area here, right? And we've talked about it. Everyone's heard it. At least maybe you haven't. But the one in 2017 went this way, and now this one's going this way, and it's forming an X. And when this one went across, it went near or right through a bunch of places named Israel, or excuse me, not Israel, named Salem, which I think is where you get Jerusalem. But Salem, which they say means peace. And I believe it even went through one of these towns that's called Repent or Redemption or something. But it went through the towns of Salem. And now this one's crossing over a bunch named Nineveh. Now, this gentleman shows that, somewhat accurate, there are a lot of cities named Nineveh. And, of course, the entire United States is going to see some of this eclipse. So they all fall into it. Two of them are actually in totality. But the other ones here are pretty damn close. You got one here, you got another one here, 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 and here. There is one over here too. But so what do I see in this? I see an eclipse that's coming, very similar to what happened in the days of Jonah. I see the town Nineveh, which is exactly the town in the days of Jonah. And then I see it's near this constellation, which is very close to a whale or a fish. So what does all this mean? Yeah, here, let's see, where does it show? Where's that constellation? Yeah, so this is the fish whale constellation, and the eclipse is happening right here, which is pretty darn close. It's not in it, but it's near it. And so what do I get from all this? There's a part in the Bible. I wonder if he's got it in his video. I don't see it. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Hold on a second, people. Clickety click. We'll go here. And we'll bring it up this way. Go here. That's okay, so let's see. All right, let's go all the way to the end of the book here. Maybe it's in here. I think it's in Matthew. Yeah, here we go. I found you. That wasn't so far. Okay. So I found this interesting because this is another thing. Like I do some Bible studies in real life here, and we have discussions, and this passage actually came up, and now here it is. I'm reading it again, and it's in Matthew 16, and they're asking for signs, and so the Pharisees and the Sadducees came tempting, desire to that he would show them a sign from heaven. And he answered unto them, when it's the evening, ye say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And this is where the sailors get it. Everything's plagiarized from the Bible, I'm finding. And in the morning will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but not discern the sign of the times. And this is what he says here. A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall be no sign given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas, which is Jonah. So I thought that's interesting because he's talking to people then, but a lot of times, because God exists in all different timelines. He's here now and back then, and he lives in a different way of us thinking. And so he's saying that the only thing that they're going to see is the sign of the prophet Jonas, which coincidentally was what we were just discussing on how this eclipse going by is going to cross over all these Ninevehs. Just like it did in his day, there was an eclipse before he went and talked to these towns. So to me, that would be a sign in the sky of the prophet Jonah. What does that mean? Do I believe in what they're saying? What do you call it? There's first of all, there's some states going state of emergency and be prepared and get ready. Whatever. It's nonsense. It's silly that they're saying that on the eclipse. We've had so many, in our lifetime, and suddenly this one, they're trying to scare everyone. In addition, you got all the truth channels saying something's coming. And a lot of them are saying 3 days of darkness. And again, this is why I say no one reads the Bible, or I should say very few read the Bible, because there's no 3 days of darkness coming in the Bible. It talks about after the death of Moses, they had that, but that was quite an event. But after that, it doesn't say there's going to be 3 days of darkness. And if I'm wrong, somebody send me an email, show me where it says that in there. Where that 3 days of darkness came about was most likely from the Catholics. And I'm not knocking Catholics if you're a Catholic. I'm saying the church that you're being represented by has fallen, just like all the other churches and the temples. When you get mainstream, when you get in these big organizations, they're all practicing it wrong. They're closer to the synagogues of Satan, as God says, than they are to the truth. The Catholics, the Pope that talks to you from the snakehead. Whoops, can't make that any larger, but you can see it. I don't want to reboot. It's a snake's head. And this is the view from the inside. I mean, if you can't see it, you can't see it. And then when you get a close-up on this, where he actually talks from, you get this nightmare. And then if you actually look into this even deeper, you can see that this is actually kind of a reptile head facing to the right. But this is supposed to be Jesus coming out of, I don't know what, a nuclear war? Because that's some creepy stuff right there. His hat is a pagan hat. That's a pagan symbol. And they say you want to call him Father. And the Bible says call no man Father. I mean, they're doing it wrong. You're supposed to not do vain prayers where, like the heathens, he says, that just repeat things over and over. They do that in every church and every temple I've ever been to. And then you go to the guy that you call Father, which you're not supposed to. And what does he say? He'll give you redemption. If you say, what, 3 Hail Marys and 4 I Fathers, or I don't know what they tell you, but you know what they say. They do that. And God says, I'd rather you not talk to me than repeat things over and over with nothing behind it. So yeah, they're doing it wrong. I really don't think Jesus would like someone walking around with a staff showing him at his most horrific moment. I mean, he was a real human. He was human at that point. The pain and suffering he endured was we hopefully will never experience. That's why he did it. You think he'd like see somebody walking around with this? I don't. No idols. That's one of the commandments. They're doing it all wrong. Don't even get me started that this is another sovereign nation. It has nothing to do with Rome or anything around it. And it has an obelisk in it, just like Washington, D.C., which is its own sovereign nation with an obelisk, and London with its own sovereign nation and obelisk. But hey, those are coincidences. I'm sure there's nothing there. All right. Let me stop for a minute. Regroup. If there's any more coffee downstairs, I'll take some. Okay. Because yeah. Where's this? All right. I think we've got through all those. How's everyone doing? Holy cow, 127 people here. Better get the show started. Okay, who's here? And what is this? Yeah, I want to talk about this because I always talked about Dark Ages, and but yeah, the Dark Ages. Let me bring that map up again, or that chart. Am I holding back? I hope I'm not holding back. I'll get going harder if you want me to, if I'm holding back, because that I find very little people online that are researching it. The answers are in the Bible or these extra texts, like in Josephus, I think is his name, not Josephia, and Jasher, and books of Adam and Eve. And I'm finding just so much information, and as best answers as I can there are coming from those books. So yeah. Okay. What are we doing here? Okay. Let's see. What am I doing here? And okay, you're agreeing. Good. And the dogs are getting my coffee. They have no opposable thumbs, so I don't think that's happening. But yeah, okay. Let's see. Let's go back here. Oh, that's really nice of you. Thank you. That's sweet. Very nice. And did Jen just get here? Did Jen just get here? I don't know. Melanie, you can tell me. If not, someone else got here late.
I don't feel dirty.
And just in case you weren't here earlier, Jen, I got rid of I didn't get rid of it. You don't like this one.
And so here we are.
So I made this one just for you to make it nicer.
And so here we are.
I say, move.
Okay, that's my fancy cow. All right, let's see. And you know what? I dig the chat too. I go back afterwards and I'll check out the chat because you guys are funny, and gals and couches. So, okay. And I don't know how Cheryl got in here. So, yes. Oh, I almost forgot Enoch and Second Ezra. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm finding very few people that are reading these books, and you're going to find your answers in there. I don't know why, because when you think about this is upside down again. When you think about it, you can still find online. You can find someone in the chat knows the guy's name. I can't think of it, but he's the guy that found what they say is Noah's Ark. He's the guy that found the sulfur balls that are still at Sodom and Gomorrah. You can still see those. Woo woo. Uh-oh. He's the one that has found all these different things. And I've shown there's videos you can find where they found chariot wheels and horse bridles and weapons at the Red Sea crossing. You can see what looks like the pillar of salt. You can see what looks like the stone that Moses split to get the water, on and on and on. So if all those things are provable now to this day, and they come from the same Bible that I've been talking to you about, that talks about these other things, why you wouldn't read that on a daily basis is shocking to me, because there's so much information to gain out of it. So let's see. Let me go back to, I don't know. Is the silent wife listening? If you could, hey, hold on a second. Let me get here. Well, hold on a second. Let me throw this thing here. Here's Billy Joe for just a second here.
Take control, get a hold of my emotions. Stop fighting the audience. Why does it always seem to hit me in the middle of the night? Stop it! Told me there's a number I can always dial. Let me do my show, for Christ's sake!
Satellite tracking continues.
Information's out there. All you have to do is let it in.
All right. For those of you that hadn't seen that Billy Joel thing, I think that's hilarious. Yeah, he didn't start the fire. Yeah. What is it? A melting pit bull. That's funny. Melt Maven. Oh, I like it. Maven, huh? She's a maven on the melt. Oi. Yeah, right. That's something. I love when he yells, "Stop it!" Like it's their fault. He's losing his shit on stage. So, okay. All right. Let's see. And yeah, we'll discuss that too. I haven't really gotten completely through my discussions of who is who. So yes, Israel versus Israel. It's a big confusion, but Satan's the author of confusion. That's what this is for. So, okay. And so, okay, so to finish off my idea on the eclipse, what does that mean? All it means is I think it's yet another sign in the sky. That's what God said would happen. We would only get signs and wonders in the sky. We didn't get answers. For the answers, that's why he gave us the book, and that's why you talk to him. But he'll show you signs and wonders that you look up and you go, like I've shown before. Our sky turned purple here for like, I don't know, half an hour. Everything went purple. No explanation. Things like that. Things like the different rainbows and snow bows and sun bows and moon bows and all this weird stuff that's going on. Or the moon being upside down. Those are the things that we're supposed to be looking for. And that tells us what? That the end times is tomorrow? No. It tells us the season that we're in. It tells us that it's time to find God, to repent, and to get right. Because we are somewhere towards the end of the book. There's too much going on. Now, the whole thing with the red heifer, let's discuss that for a hot minute. That's not in the Bible either. That's what I'm telling you. They bastardize the words of the Bible knowing that no one reads it. And then they just tell you. That's another one of, I think, came probably from the Catholics or somebody. But it doesn't talk about there's going to be this red heifer sacrifice for the end times. What does it say? They would sacrifice red heifers in the past. It also says that during those end times, you're going to have the Antichrist and you're going to have, all the beasts and all that stuff going on. And it says that they were sacrificing in the temple when that goes down. Now, why is that important? Because they used to do sacrifices. Why does God want to sacrifice? Because he wants to smell burning flesh and go, oh, no. It goes all the way back to the days of Adam, if you read those books. And that Adam, when he describes Eden, it's off the charts. Like, you can't even understand what he's trying to say. He's that saddened and forlorn that he, literally tries to kill himself. Sometimes it sounds like he succeeded in some way. And that's all he wants to do is get back there. He hates having to do all the stuff that we do now. Because originally everything was just there for them. And then they got kicked out and then they had to work. They had to till the soil and do all that stuff. And so he's lonely because he also can't hear the angels because we got cut off that way too. So what does he do? His way of talking to God was to do this sacrifice and in hope that God would change his mind and let him back. But he tells Adam that he's going to be gone 5.5 days. And at first Adam's like, well, I can do that easy. But what he meant was 5,500 years. And you can do the math and we're pretty damn close to the dates. And, but what I think happened, because his 5,500 years, they say, and I've gone over this on other shows, so you can look it up. That's when they say that Jesus came back, or showed up. He was, in those times. So what I believe is from the discussions that we have about the buildings and stuff that look melted, I believe that Christ has come back. I think they call it preterists or something. I don't know. There's 1,000 different names. I'm not a soup can. Don't put a label on me. But I believe I can find evidence of a worldwide destruction. And a couple of things that they tell us. Let me bring these up. Let me get rid of that and that. Where'd my map go? Hang on a second, people. Here it is. Okay. Clickety click. We'll go here. We'll go here. Okay. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. Dang. Okay, we'll get to that one in a second. So where is it then? Where's the right map? It's not there. It's not there. Okay. Meanwhile, if Paul's listening, he's like, I told you to put these in files and then you won't get lost. I have a friend that tells me I need to get more organized. And he's 100% right. But I'll start tomorrow. Okay. Why don't I see what I'm looking for there? Is it up here? Oh, because it was up here. All right. See, I did have it, Paul. Okay. Go here. Entire screen. Clickety click. So I think it's this one. Okay. So here's what I found interesting. When you go through the timeline of the world history that they give us, right? And they've told us about the Dark Ages. First of all, there's a lot of discussions as to whether Stonehenge was built back in these days or if it's a more modern thing. But we'll let that go. But what I find interesting is when you go through these years, you got the early Bronze Age, and then you've got, wait, make sure. Are you guys seeing this? Because I don't have that computer over there. Are you seeing this? Of course, I have a commercial. There we go. Yeah, we are seeing it. Okay, cool. Should I need to hire Paul. Oh, you're right. Okay, so so when you've got you got the Bronze Age and you go to the Iron Age, and I find this interesting. The Greeks have their Dark Ages here in the Iron Age. I was always told there was just like one Dark Age, but no, they have theirs here. And the Western European Dark Ages don't happen until here. So there's more than one Dark Age, which is interesting. But this is the way I see this as going. If you've got where God's promise to Adam is in 5,500 years, he says he'll bring him home. Well, that lines up. Len, just go with me for a second. If you don't believe in this, this is my theory idea. If it's the idea that Jesus came back and did revelation, then right after that, there's 1,000-year reign. And it would match up pretty close to when God said he was going to bring Adam home, which sounds to me like what would have happened, because in that moment, the dead rise up with Christ, and then the rest of the living are taken up. That's where people talk about the rapture. That's where that comes from, that one passage. And so then they get together and they have 1,000-year reign of Christ. Well, two things about that. It comes about after, so you've got these Dark Ages, and where is it? This guy. There's a lot of discussions that he could be an idea if there was an antichrist or, whatever false prophet, whatever on earth, because this was a really bad dude. Killed his mother. I think he kicked his pregnant wife to death. And then he took a boy servant that looked similar to his wife, had him castrated and have him dress up as his wife. I mean, it was a sick dude. And you got to remember, he came about after, what was it? Not Xanadu. What was that guy's name? Xanadu. Shoot, I can't think of the emperor that they did like some movie about him too, because he was just, oh, come on. What's his name? Is it in here? Caligula, right? That guy was known for like debauchery and stuff in his kingdom. So that's what was going on. It was a very wicked time. And then what happens? We've all heard about it, like Rome burns and he plays his violin, but now I don't think he does that. He's a mandolin or whatever. And I find it interesting is I've shown many times, I don't have them. I looked for them before the show. They're in this old Bible. Oh, this is upside down. They're in this old Bible here. The photos of the cities that are being destroyed in that Bible, it looks exactly like this during God's wrath. So I find that interesting. And this was supposedly started, you can read about it, but somehow fire destroyed like buildings that are made of, cement or stone and stuff, which makes no sense. And so if that's the case, let's say this is Revelations going down when this is happening, and they tell us that the Black Death, which went across the entire world, killed, when they don't even know, of course, because they can't even keep current records correct now, let alone back in the 1300s. But they estimate somewhere between 25 million and 50 million, which is a big swing, were killed. And that's all just a guess, because the churches were keeping track of the numbers. I'm sure they had it completely right. I mean, really, you think a guy's walking around like in Monty Python where he goes, bring out your dead, and then they throw it on a cart and he's got a little clicker? No, they just said, I don't know, that town seems to be wasted, say 5,000 died. They have no idea. But that I think that this was caused, never has this happened before. I mean, other than the current thing going on, I guess, where like a flea, wasn't it? A tick from a rat or something, and everyone's just dropping dead. And it happened in multiple places. They have stories when you type in Black Death. You've got it in Europe. Here it is in England. Here it is. And once again, the special people got persecuted, and they said that they were the ones they blamed for the outbreak over there. Then you got Italy, France, and look, theories, because they don't know. That's the thing. Look at everything in science. They're all theories. They tell you they're laws and they tell you it's your history, but when you break it down, it goes down to a theory. And if I talked about a theory, he'd say, oh, well, he doesn't have a special degree behind him or a white coat, so he doesn't know what he's talking about. And yet I'm using the same research they are, and I keep finding where they don't know how these things start. And so here it is in Poland, here it is in the Middle East, and on and on and on. Here's an album about it. No, I'm kidding. But yeah. And they say, and then of course you get this cartoon character, and they say that they modeled these outfits after this writer that came up with this idea of what they look like. So then they actually started making the outfits in real life. So which came first, the chicken or the egg? You know what I mean? So they're just creating this folklore. I think it's just another thing pointing to you're being lied to about something. So when you go through this timeline, so let's say if the smackdown happened by Jesus here, well, then it would be the dark ages for this area. And why do I say that? Well, if you read it in the passages, do I have the right one here? Let me see. Maybe not. Let me bring that up. I gotta show you what I'm talking about here. Let's see. Clickety click. We'll go here, and then we'll bring up. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, I'm not going to find it that way. Let me look at it this way. Let me look at it upside down for Australia. In the Bible. Okay, so maybe I did have the right one. I doubted myself. Ye of little faith. That's what Jesus would have said to me. That's what he's saying to me right now. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So this passage here, and this is the one everyone hangs their hat on about being raptured. It's in First Thessalonians. I sound like I have a lisp when I try to say it. 4. Let's see. Where is it? And I think this is interesting too, because when he's talking about people that don't know God, he calls them the people that are asleep. Isn't that the same thing that we're saying now? But I would not have you be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that are ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so them which sleep in Jesus will God bring with him. See, he's talking about the people that they're not in line with this yet, and that we call them asleep. And he's saying, don't worry, because he's going to get them too. And that's, again, he says not to fear more than anything in this book. And yet the real world we live in, that's all they tell you. Fear everything and everyone and everything, just constantly. And so he's saying, look, if you believe in this, then don't worry, because he's going to get them too. And then he says, for this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. And then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. So shall we ever be with the Lord. Now, what he says there is we go up to meet him, what I would assume is the New Jerusalem, and reign with him. So my thinking right now, and it can change, but for right now, I believe I've had this idea for a while, and I'm going to stick with it now. All these buildings that we see, the ones that we can't explain how they made them, I don't think have anything to do with the millennial reign of Christ at this point. Because if the millennial reign of Christ, as spoken about right here, happens in the sky, New Jerusalem does not come down on earth until after everything's done. And this heaven and earth passes away. And so all the dead went up with Christ, and all that were alive went up with Christ, except the left behinds. And then, after the 1,000-year reign, we're here to be deceived in this short season. And we've talked about how you can look at the Statue of Liberty. I think that's Satan's mark there. He looks just like the statue of Lucifer in that painting. And the ankle bracelet thing is broken. It's loosed from its cage. It's very symbolic. And it's on a star fort, and on and on and on. And so if that's the case, then the times that we're in, regardless if we're heading to tribulation or we've already on the other side of it, we're being woken up. And the only way God can do that is he's got to shake things up. Because if he doesn't, we're just going to be complacent and continue living the way we are and get farther away from God. And so I truly believe that if God's or Jesus's golden reign, millennial reign happened during these times, the rest of the people would feel like it was dark times, because God wouldn't be with them. And I bet you'd feel it. And so they talk about the dark ages here because nothing really was happening here. It was all happening somewhere else. I mean, it's just an idea, but there has to be some left behinds for Satan to deceive in the end. And for the people that say, well, we have not seen the two witnesses, we have not seen, the Antichrist being exposed and the mark of the beast, all these things that people are looking for. I find it fascinating too that so many people are looking for signs of the end times, the Antichrist, and so few people are talking about Jesus and the fact that he's already beaten all this. And we come from a position of power. We don't need to ask permission. I mean, the idea is cause no harm, but take no shit. We come from a position of power. Jesus, he's beat everything. He has power over the entire world and Satan and death and hell, all of it. It's all given to him. That's why he's so important to understand. And so if you take that at, and where is it? I thought this was a good one too. Oh, I forgot. I'll have to put the link to that other video. But oh, hi there, buddy. Here, let me put this one in because this one's pretty good too. Let me see where we all are. You're over here. Go clickety click. Put it in there. Doink. And then anybody over on Rockfin? 4 people. Good to see you. We'll put it in there. Okay. But I thought this was a good one because where'd it go? He covers it very well in like a 3-minute thing. He's got, this is in Genesis with the fall of man, and then Exodus is where Moses leads the Israelites out of slavery. Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, that's where he's teaching us the laws and how to stay healthy and things like that. That's where you find like what things to eat, what meats to eat, what meats not to eat, and so forth. And then you got, what is this? You got a commercial. It's not just my channel. I'm telling you, everyone, it's not just my channel. All right, let's go back. You got the commercial. We'll get rid of that. Okay. Clickety click. Okay. Go back. That'll probably trigger commercials on my channel too. Is that hilarious? Okay. But hey, you got to work in the system. This is what they give us. If I went on to, if I only did my shows on Rockfin, I'd lose a lot of you all because people don't go anywhere but YouTube, some people. So it is what it is. Okay, back to this. So yeah, Joshua, he shows up and he's basically continues on to take the children of Israel to the promised land. There's a lot of wars and stuff going on. Then you got all the judges. And again, we asked for this. That's the fascinating thing. If you figure out when you go all the way back to the days of Moses and in Exodus, this is way back in the beginning. When we get out, and why do they call? First of all, they were called Hebrews. There was no country. Israel, the state or country, doesn't show up until the 40s. Back then, they were Hebrews. And then you have Abraham. In fact, here I have my timeline chart. It's one of these. Where'd it go? Let's see. It's this one. I'll go back to that chart that I was looking for. Here it is. Okay. Where are you at? You're over here. Clickety click. Okay. Y'all seeing this? Hopefully. Let's see. Make sure. Okay. I know it's hard to read on your side, but basically you got everybody, everyone starts up here, Adam and Eve, and then you get all these, you go all the way around to Noah, and there's a reset. And so the only people that are alive still come from the family of Noah. And Noah, you got these 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And they talk mostly about Shem because, he continues this lineage down. But here's where you get out of Ham, you've got, Egyptians and Libyans and Canaanites. And over here, you got more ites and stuff. And you got the Greeks. And because there was other people being born, not just this one tribe going down. But, the stories we get, they follow this one tribe. It's like, Yellowstone follows one family. Well, we're following this one story. And when you get to the storyline, you got Abraham. There's no way Abraham was Jewish because it wasn't invented yet. He was a Hebrew. And then the important part of his story is you get Isaac having Jacob. And what happens there? Well, Jacob is the guy that has what's called the 12 tribes. All of these 12 tribes of Israel right there. And so all of us come from this in some way, shape, or form. And you've got this one right here. This is Judah. And this is the tribe of Judah. And those are what we are called Jews today. That's what this originally started as. Why is that tribe important back then? Because God says that he's going to bring out his king. Here's David. It's another one of his favorite people. But he also stumbled. And same with his son Solomon, the wisest man that's ever lived and ever will. He also stumbled, and God warned him. But out of that lineage, you go all the way down here, and you'll eventually get to Jesus. And that's why that was important. But don't forget, you've got the tribe, say, what's this one? You got the tribe of Benjamin. That one's pretty important because that's where you get Moses and Aaron and the first priests. They all come out of this tribe. Was it? Or no, I take it back. Not Benjamin. Levi. Why did I even make that mistake? Levi is what they called the priests back then. And that's where you get Moses and Aaron and all the priests. So you can't say this one tribe was more important than this tribe, because God uses everyone. And when I say everyone, you can find throughout history on how people are used in good ways, even if it's a negative person. And so when they talk about the children of Israel, it's not a place, it's a people. And this guy was called Jacob. And then he had this night where he had this terrible nightmare where he woke up and he was struggling. Again, Mandela effect. It used to say an angel. In fact, all the depictions show somebody with wings. Now it says he's struggling with a man. And if you believe that you read the Bible and you believe that you are a Bible believer, a believer in Jesus, and how you can't see that things have changed, and you will be perfectly fine saying that Jacob struggled with a man and not an angel, then you're deceiving yourself and your flock. And so that's when his name changes. And he ends up with a limp from it, but God changes his name to Israel. So when you talk about the children of Israel, you're just talking about his children. That's it. It's not a place. It's a people. Now, the fact that God says to all the way back here with Moses, and he's leading these children of Israel to the promised land. He's just talking about the children of Israel. That's it. The fact that the promised land happens to be in this area now that everyone to this day is fighting over, they named it Israel in the 40s. Well, God named the children of Israel way before that. So it's another one of these tricks to get people to fight over things and not even know what they're fighting over. Because there's a discussion in the end times about who's actually in the promised land, and they say that they're from this tribe, and they're actually not even from this tribe. They're from the synagogue of Satan. God says that. Look it up. He says that there's a fake tribe pretending to be part of this. That's it. It's not that these people are bad. It's that their name has been bastardized into this world to mean something bad, to the point I can't even say the name on air. How about those apples? It's another one like the N-word, I guess, now that came out of the OJ trial. Children of Jesus, right? That's my girl. I don't know why I said that. Okay. All right. What do we have?
Information's out there. All you have to do is let it in.
So we cleared that. Oh, let's finish this thing up here. I was showing you this cartoon. Because it's actually a really good presentation of the books of the Bible. I thought it was really good, very well done. And so you go to Judges, and why do we have the Judges? Is because back in the day when we got freed from Egypt, and God's like, all right, I'll be your king. And they're like, well, everyone else has kings and judges. Why can't we have them? Wah, wah, wah. And so God said, fine, you want a government? You'll have it. And it even says it in the Bible to this day. So all the people think that we're going to get rid of the government. It ain't happening. God says it'll be with you till the end. And we asked for it. And we continue to ask for it. I still see, we watch auditor channels all the time, and people, they love calling the cops on people. They want someone to solve their problems for them. It's fascinating. There's an auditor in jail right now. Henry, I think is his name. And he exposed this corrupt town, and they got him on stalking charges. It's insane. He exposed it. It's a fascinating thing where they stole a guy's land and then told him he couldn't build on it, so he stopped paying the taxes, so they took it, and then they're building houses on it, and they're using city money. It's a fascinating story, and then the poor guy goes to jail over it. So, and again, another thing written about the end times, some of us will be thrown in jail. So, but praying for anybody that's facing that right now, that you're out of it soon, whatever you're underneath. But so yes, you go into Judges, and God sends, after the falling into sin, God sends 12 judges to deliver them. Some are good, some are bad. Then there's Ruth. She's a great story. King David, of course, is recorded in 1st and 2nd Samuel. Those are cool stories. And then you got more of the kings. It's pretty wild, and it shows you how the division happened. And then you get Chronicles, which really gives you your history. It goes all the way back through time. Then you got Israel, which led a group of exiles to return to Jerusalem to destroy the temple. Nehemiah, he lands another group of exiles to build the walls of Jerusalem. Tobit, that was a good story too. You'll have to read that one. This is so good. And then Judith, this one's amazing story. She wins a war all by herself. It's pretty wild. And Esther, yeah, that's a good one. She saves her people too. Then, of course, we've covered Job many times on this. Then Psalms, that's David. He's talking to God. Remember, he was like one of God's favorite in history, and yet he does the thing where he takes the guy's wife and sends him off to war, and breaks a whole bunch of commandments. And he repents, but because of that, God's like, your kingdom's gone. I'm going to separate it and destroy it and tear it apart. And then eventually it'll get back together, but you won't be around for it. And I think that's what we're, still seeing why all the different tribes broke apart like that. Then you got Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. Oh, wait. Psalms is him. He some of the prayers and poems, he's praising God, and others he's like, just basically kill me because I've made you so upset and I'm sorry. So they're pretty fascinating. And you can use some of these. Like, that's the weird thing about the Bible when they say it's a living word. You can have a problem or an issue on your mind, and you can open up one of these Psalms and find your answer in it. It's pretty fascinating. For those of us that have done it, you know what I'm talking about. It's wild. And then you got his son, which was the wisest man ever. He fell into the same thing. God says, you know what's going to happen? These women, like your dad, they're going to turn your heart away from me. And he's like, no, I got this. And God tells him 3 separate times. He says, you're the smartest man alive, but these women are going to turn and they do. They end up doing what? Building temples and altars in the high places and making priests of anybody they want. And just everything God said was going to happen, it happens to the smartest man ever. Then you got Sriracha, and well, you can read all these different ones. Isaiah, these are the prophets and stuff, and they tell you some of the stuff that's happening right now and stuff to come. Jeremiah, he looks pretty buff in that picture. And then you got Lamentations, which is he laments over the destruction of Jerusalem. Then you got Baruch and Ezekiel. These are more prophets that talk about things. Daniel's crazy chapters, and he interprets dreams and visions. It's pretty wild. And same with his brothers and stuff. They have some crazy adventures. And then you got all these guys, which a lot of you don't even know are in the Bible. It's pretty fascinating. And then, of course, the story we were discussing today about God's judgment. Then you got the first, second Maccabees, getting more discussions, like kind of history of what's going on. And then you get to the Gospels, and that's basically where Jesus comes in, and you hear all their stories as told by all the different people that were there. And then you get Paul, and he's another guy that makes people fight. I enjoy Paul's writings. He wrote pretty much the last part of the Bible. And why do you have so much time on his hands? Because he got thrown in jail because of these ideas. And he started out by crucifying and killing and whatever the Christians, going around preaching Jesus. And then he has his story about the road to Damascus, and suddenly he's preaching, and the apostles don't even want to hang out with him. That's how scared they were of him because of his past. So he gets thrown in jail. So he writes all these letters to all these different places to try to let people know, hey, I was doing what you were doing, and suddenly I had this meeting with God, and I want you all to be saved. And so he writes these to his sons in different places, different towns and stuff, kind of like what Jonas did, only he's doing it from jail. And then you keep your faith. And then you got James. He talks a lot about some stuff going on now too. And the first and second Peter. And then you got a bunch of Johns and Jude. And then, of course, you get to the Revelation, which I love the picture that he drew of this. You got a guy, he looks like, I don't know, he's got some kind of alcohol, maybe. His eyes are red. He's smoking. I mean, that's some tough times. The first time I read the Bible, I went right there because I want to know the ending. And I don't recommend that because it's honestly terrifying, and you don't understand it without the context. You know, they tell you that you can read the Bible and you don't have to read it in order, but you really should read it in order because it does show you the timeline. And when you read the Old Testament, you get your history. And then when you get to the to where Jesus is walking around with all the different with Matthew and Luke and all that, that's where you kind of get the understanding of why he was here and how he can help us through these times, through those stories and the Gospels. And then, of course, we get to the other parts of it. It fills in more until you get to Revelation. Then you understand it better. So, okay. So I think we covered that enough. And that was to answer this question. So why do people get hurt and in pain on a daily basis and not about free will? Okay. Oh, and this is the millennium. This is where I was reading today that I thought was pretty interesting. So I'll get back to that question. I'm not done with you. It says, where is it? So this is where I'm thinking, if the New Jerusalem wasn't on earth, then all the buildings that we see, these buildings that we don't even understand how they built them, that must be how we were making buildings back then. Because if you think about it, like in those pictures I was showing you, the Tower of Babel and all these crazy cities, it's even in my old Bible, these old Jerusalem cities and all these different cities and monstrous cities made of stone and ironwork and free energy, whatever. And it would make sense because when we were in the garden, we didn't have to do any of that stuff. And then when we got cast out, God wanted us to live a simple life and till the soil and feed ourselves that way. But we were supposed to work, but not in the way that they show us with all this technologies and stuff. Make sure we're live still. Okay. Not in the way that they show these technologies. And so what if that's how they were building these things? And then when Revelation happens, that's why a lot of them are melted or buried, because they were before Revelation. There's a great earthquake. It's mentioned in the Bible a few different times. And I think there was a great earthquake of Lisbon around the same time of the timeline that we were talking about, the fires and the plagues and stuff. And so that could cause a frequency that would look like liquefaction. Mud, that's where I think the mud flood idea comes from. It could have been that, could have just been the earthquake which liquefied it. That happens. And then in addition to that, then if you have Revelation where God comes through and destroys the rest of it, then you would have some of those buildings still standing because you left a third to for us to see God's wrath. It's in there. It's in the writings about that. I think the Quran even talks about that. And so if you have those buildings always being built like that, because like we know their fireplaces didn't have logs in them, and their the candelabras didn't have candles in them, because otherwise the tapestries and the paintings and the walls would be covered in soot. You would have drip wax everywhere, and none of that shows up. Their fireplaces had a metal plate in the back, and they somehow, because of the brickworks, heated up the whole place. We don't understand. We also understand why they didn't have plumbing and stuff. But who knows? Maybe they had a way of incinerating that kind of waste. I don't know. Neither do you, and nobody will ever know because we weren't there in those times. But if they always were making those buildings like that, and again, another lie of history that they were just doing like mud huts and stuff, then we would see the evidence of the destruction of, say, from the flood, from this earthquake, from God's destruction, maybe and through Revelation, we would see the evidence of that. And this New Jerusalem, because it says here in John 14:2, Jesus says, I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. So that's part of this thing where we're meeting him in the sky right here, for the Lord descends with a shout. And then, that's where they talk about it. So if we're meeting him in this sky, in Revelation 21, we read, John said, I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven. But that's after everything. Revelation 20 says that the righteous lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. So if New Jerusalem is where a mansion is, and it's not yet come down to earth until, or at least by the time of Jesus' second coming, where are we during the 1,000 years? And like this person saying, I think you're not on earth because this hasn't descended yet. Another clue comes from Isaiah 24:1, where we get a picture of the conditions of the earth during this 1,000 years. The Lord make the earth empty and make it waste and turn it upside down. And then on Jeremiah 4:23, he says, remember I told you these are the prophets that see the future. I beheld the earth, and lo, it was without form and void, and the heavens had no light. And again, it sounds like Genesis. But if you keep reading, he says, I beheld the mountains, and lo, they trembled, and the hills moved lightly. And I beheld, and lo, there was no man, and all the birds of heavens were fled. Which goes along with after the flood. People say, well, was there a pocket of survival where some giants were hiding or underwater, or they hung onto the ark and God didn't know it? No. He says no flesh survived except what was in the ark. And when he says no flesh, he means it. That's it. There's nobody that survived except who was on the ark. Now, the fallen ones are still there, so they just probably did their own version again and got everyone, by the time Abraham came down, he was the only one still believing in God. So, but if you keep reading it here, he says, we can easily conclude that mountains are now gone, that they must have been there before. But if there's any doubt, Jeremiah continues, I beheld, and lo, the fruitful place was a wilderness, and all the cities thereof were broken down. So that can't be talking about Genesis, because there's cities and there's fruitful place or wilderness. So it cannot be the time of the Garden of Eden. So what happens to the wicked? The Bible says of the presence of the Lord and this fierce anger, it says there's no life on earth at this time. And the slain of the Lord covers one end of the earth to the other. Furthermore, they shall not be lamented, neither gathered nor buried. They shall be dung upon the ground. That's in Jeremiah. So according to both Jeremiah and Isaiah, both prophets, The earth is a condition where no one's alive. It's dark. The cities are broken down. And so when Jesus comes down with the power of the righteous, the living and dead are resurrected, and the rest are caught up with him in the sky until the 1,000 years are finished. And so he says, Jesus also speaks of the second resurrection at a time when the wicked come forth from their graves at the end of the 1,000 years for judgment, meaning there are two distinct resurrections. There won't be anybody alive in the earth during the 1,000 years. The earth is desolate and dark. Satan is bound, having no one to tempt or manipulate. Thus the saved will be in heaven with Christ until we descend with him and New Jerusalem comes to the earth. So I'm kind of hanging my hat here right now because this all matches up. This is from, what is this, Amazing Facts? Because they put the scriptures in there to back up their ideas. And I like that. Because if you can match it up to scriptures, then I'll listen. And that seems to match pretty good. So if that's the case, we haven't seen what this city looks like. We don't see it until the very end. So that would mean all these buildings that we see were built prior to that. And I think that's just how we were building things because of the fallen ones that we've known how to do these things. And we've gotten dumbed down and we think that we're advancing technology. The technology is advancing, but we're getting stupid. And the buildings that we make, as I showed earlier, not even close to what they used to make. So, this phone does amazing things, but I don't know how it works. It does it for me. I barely remember everyone's phone numbers now. I used to know everyone's phone number. We're getting dumber. And the technology is getting smarter. And Leon's getting larger. Okay. So what is this? Yeah, this is James. We'll discuss him in a second here. And we got the Thessalonians. We'll get rid of that. Let's see. Matthew, do we need this one now? No, I think we covered this one too. Let me see. Okay, let's see. I mean, we wonder why we have trouble having faith and why we doubt when, think of this. Jesus shows up and they're all on a boat, and all of a sudden, this is that night when he goes and he walks on water, and he goes walking out on the sea, and they see him and they get all freaked out and cry out with fear. And he's like, calm down. It's I, be not afraid. I was just hanging out with you, feeding you fish and stuff and bread. And so then Peter answers the Lord and said, if it be thou, bid come unto the end of the water. And he says, come. When Peter comes out of the ship, he walks on water too. But then he says, the wind's boisterous, and he gets afraid and he starts to sink and he cries out, Lord, save me. Now think of this. You just watched Jesus do all kinds of miracles. You've been walking with him. You quit your job and you gave up everything to just hang with this guy because you've seen him do so many miracles. He tells you, if you walk out on this water, you'll be able to walk right to me. And you do. And then you freak out and you lose faith. And of course, Jesus does what he always does. He stretches out his hand, catches him, and says, oh, thou of little faith, wherefore did thou doubt? Like he doubted walking up to Jesus. It's pretty fascinating. And unfortunately for Peter, he does it many times. It's pretty the fact that they can do it and lose faith when he's standing right next to them. What chance do we have? We've really got to work on this. That's why you got to look into the Bible, because it helps you understand this. And let's see. Okay, we'll go to that one in a minute. And what do we got here? Yeah, and here's another one. When he's this is the one where he says that there's going to be no sign but the prophet Jonas, right? And then he talks to his disciples, and they said, oh, hey, we forgot bread. And he's like, really? You gotta be, they said, oh, ye of little faith, why reason you among yourselves because you brought no bread? Do you not understand, neither remember how the 5 loaves of the 5,000 and how many baskets you took up, or the 7 loaves? So there's times when they were sitting with him and they had hardly any bread or fish, and he just makes it just go as many people are there. And the same with when they couldn't catch any fish, and he just makes tons of fish where their boat tips just about. And yet they still forget and they have no faith, right? He says, I think that's, let's see. Okay. So here, let me go into a little bit of this conversation about why there's pain and suffering. And I'm going to tell you with a pretext, you're not going to get the answers. I'm just going to point you in the directions what I see. First thing I see is when Jesus says he wants you to do his walk and live like him, he knows it comes with a cost, because he did all these things for us, including suffering and facing ridicule. And so you're going to walk like that. You're going to get that too. But you also have God on your side. And so you can beat all that other stuff. The other stuff is just whispers from the devil trying to bring you down and not believe in this stuff. And so he says, when Jesus said to his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. For whoever shall save his life shall lose it, and whoever shall lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? And I find it interesting when he says, take up your cross. This was a torture device that he died on. And he's telling you, you're going to need it, right? Lead by example. So he's saying, you're going to suffer. He's saying it. An interesting thing in this passage, too, he says, there shall be some standing here which shall not taste death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. And he's talking to a room full of people. So he's talking to people there, saying they're going to see him come back. He also says they that pierced him, because they stick a what do you call it? A spear, and they cut his side there, bleeds out in water and blood. He says those people are going to see the Son of Man coming. So unless they're dead, how they see it? John says he'll be there in tribulation. So I believe, at least it's a theory, that all of that could have happened. Now, I'll go to here. In James, he's talking about once again, this is what he says. You're going to be in these wicked times. Be patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh. Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned. Behold, the judge standeth before the door. And that line, I think it's in Matthew, it says, judge not, lest ye be judged, which has now been changed. But still, it's that whole idea. Remember, whatever you're doing to, God. It's his children. You're doing it to your brethren. They're from you. I showed you the timeline. We all go back to the same people. And so if you're treating someone unjust, you're going to, get that back to you. Some people call it karma, but God just says, I'm going to judge you on how you've been treating people, and you're going to get your works according to that. So take my brethren, the prophets who have spoken in the name of the Lord, for example, of suffering, affliction, of patience. Behold, we count them happy which endure. You've heard the patience of Job and have seen the end of the Lord, and the Lord is very pitiful and tender of mercy. But above all things, my brethren, swear not, neither by heaven, by earth, neither by any oath, but let your yea be yea, and your nay be yea, lest you fall in condemnation. Is any amongst you afflicted? Let him pray. Is any merry? Let him sing songs. Is any sick among you? Let him call for the elders of the church and pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer of the faith shall save the sick, and the Lord shall raise him up. And if he have committed sins, they shall be forgiven. Confess your faults. one to another and pray one for another that ye may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. And so all of these things, he doesn't say you're not going to be sick. He doesn't say you're not going to feel pain. He doesn't say you're not going to suffer. He says all of these things are in the world. Why are they in the world? Because we're in a fallen state. Satan gets to run this for a short time. He's been running it ever since we've been alive. Anybody that's the sound of my voice, he's been in charge of it. And so, within it, you have good times, you have bad times. But what this is saying is, again, I'm not giving you the answers as to why whoever's listening to this is experiencing the sorrow or the suffering or the pain that they're going through right now. There's no man on earth that can explain that to you. What I can tell you is God says you're going to feel some of these things. Again, look at David. Half of his Psalms, he's excited, and half of them, he's wishing for death just about. So everyone has gone through this. Your suffering might be greater than anyone else's that you know of. And I don't have an answer as to why you're going through it. All I can tell you is everyone in the Bible, they say the only way to really get through it is through prayer, which is interesting because the world we live in tells you the opposite. Prayers mean nothing. Thoughts and prayers, whatever. No, they're telling you this is a way that you can help yourself and help others. And even if you're praying unceasingly, like it says, and you're still not getting better, it doesn't say to stop, it doesn't say to curse God. Again, read the book of Job and stuff. That'll help you there. Just like Daniel prayed to get out of jail, and he didn't get out right away. I don't know God's reasonings. Nobody does. But somehow, he's using you in some way. And I can't explain why you're going through the pain that you're going in. I can't explain why you're going through the suffering you're in. All I can encourage you is you can pray on it and you can have others pray on it. And I'm someone that has trouble coming up with prayers. I know people say I'm good at it, but I struggle in my mind anyways. So here's a proverb. Forget not my law, but let thine heart keep thine commandments. And the only way you're going to get that in your heart is you've got to read the scriptures and commit it to heart, because they're changing and people are just going along with the changes. The lion now lays with the wolf, or the wolf lays with the lamb. Give me a break. How you can't see that and you're just going to quote it like it's always been that way. It's a deceit. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them around thy neck and write them on the table of thy heart. So thou shalt find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. Because, they say the belief is the enemy of knowing. And yet I feel that knowing is the enemy of faith, because you know it. I've read it. I know it. No. Faith is something you can't know. Faith is believing that there's things above what you can comprehend or understand. That's where faith comes in. Faith is knowing the stories of the Bible happened, so then why can't you have a supernatural event in your life? Supernatural is just this. And on this, I'm quoting Vlad, that pastor I listened to. What you do is natural. God adds the super to it. And so we have to do works. We're not saved by works. We're saved by God's grace through our faith. The works you're just supposed to do. I mean, come on. It's just part of it. If you start living your life in this joyous feeling of spirituality through God and Jesus, you just start acting better. And you don't need the commandments, not that you need to forsake him. He says, do not forget them. But you don't need them anymore, because you're going to have it in your heart. And you're just going to be a better person and be better to people around you. But for that, people are going to judge you, attack you, and you're going to feel the sufferings. He said, pick up the cross. He didn't say, let's go for a boat ride to Catalina Island. He said, you're going to pick up a cross. So trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be wise not in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. Well, wait, why would you fear the Lord? Well, because he tells you, if you understand where you are and who he is, you don't have to fear anything. Why do you fear the Lord? Because he's going to give you correction just like any father would if you're, heading towards destruction. If you've got a child that's starting to run out into the highway, you'd probably grab him back and give him a good shaking, or, I don't know, finger waggling, whatever you're allowed to do nowadays. But you'd let him know it was wrong. And so that's what that is. But if you read the stories, he's patient, he's loving, he's kind, he's forgiving more than anything. He doesn't wait around just going, oh, I can't wait to throw wrath on you. No, he's like, please don't do this. Please don't do this. I told you he gave Solomon, the wisest man ever, 3 dreams saying you're going to screw up. And he didn't listen. He told Jonah to go this way, and Jonah didn't listen and went that way. But when he did do what God said, look what happened. Jonah might not have thought it worked out so well, but the people that lived in Nineveh, I bet, did. So, yeah. Be wise. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones. Honor the Lord with thy substance and the fruitfulness of all thine increase. So thy barns shall be filled, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, nor weary of his correction. For the Lord loveth who he correcteth, even as a father for the son in whom he delighteth. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. There's a lot more. You can read it on your own time. But yeah, that's what he's saying. And so all of these passages and these prophets, they're all telling you that tough times can come to every one of us. And though even thyself, this is in Jeremiah, shall discontinue from thine heritage I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for you have kindled a fire in mine anger which shall burn forever. So that's not good. Because when you get God this mad, now he's always going to have this anger. But why does he have it? Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord. For he is like a heath which is his plant in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places of the wilderness, in salt land not inhabited. The man who trusteth in the Lord, that's where the hope is. He shall be planted like a tree by the waters, and goes on and on and on. And what is he saying here? He's saying that if you continue to live like this and trust in man, that you're gonna miss out, because you're not gonna have God in your heart, and eventually you won't make it out of here, according to the scriptures. And so, and we covered this one. I think that's all of them. Okay. So, and I think it's funny, the more I talk about this, the quicker the numbers go down. But that's okay. And I'm not going to say that this is not for people that don't want to listen to the Bible, because it's actually for them. They just don't know it yet. So that's why I'm here. And it's not to, I don't know, it's for no other reason other than God put this in my heart. This is one of the things I'm supposed to do. And so then I get I get letters like this, and it's tough. It's a tough thing to answer. And I said, you're not going to get the answers here. Why do bad things happen to good people? I even had one of my own sons was questioning this and asked me, well, how do you explain, babies dying and stuff? I can't. But what I do know is this: once you find out that God exists, it takes the fear of death away. And I'm not saying that I'm looking forward to it. Absolutely not. But what I know now is, unless I tempt fate, like Jesus said to the devil when he said, cast yourself off of this mountain and you won't die. Unless I tempt fate, I'm going to be here throughout whatever time I'm supposed to until God thinks I've done whatever it is I was supposed to accomplish. And then I go home to God. I mean, that's where my faith and belief is. So there's no fear in it anymore. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to stick around because I got a lot to do. But I know that when I'm done, that's when I go home. So I lose that fear. So then if you take why do children or, babies die, I can't answer that, but I can tell you this. They go right home to God. And that could be part of that 144,000 because supposedly they're supposed to be a virgin child. And there was a lot of babies that were killed when they were looking for Moses. They hid him and they killed a bunch of babies. When they were looking for Jesus, they hid him. They killed a bunch of babies. There's another king. I'm trying to remember one of the kings of Israel or something. And same thing. It's a pattern. And so I can't tell you why God allows these things to happen. But it's not God that's doing this. It's this fallen world. God didn't go around killing these babies. The fallen world did. The kings that were trying to destroy God's plan did. And then you can go to Passover and, again, Mandela effect, it was the angel of death. Now it's God himself that goes through. But that was about a certain people and wickedness. And it was a way to get rid of the slavery that they were entrapped in. As far as sickness, as far as why some people are right now listening to this in excruciating pain and why we can't heal ourselves, for me, I believe a lot of it is this fallen world we're in, because we know it's in our food, it's in our water, it's in our products we use, it's everywhere. Slowly, there's poisons going into our system. It's just a matter of our fallen world we live in. There's nothing we can do about it. At some point in time, you're going to breathe, smell, lather up, drink, eat some kind of toxin. So I think our bodies are constantly trying to cleanse that. And other choices that we've made in life could have potentially affected that healing process that we have. Now, there's people out there saying, well, I've done nothing wrong. I prayed this, that, and the other, and I have these afflictions. I'm telling you, this is way above my pay grade. I don't know why certain people are suffering more than others. The only solace I can tell you is this. God says, of course, it's not easy to not compare yourselves with other people because each one of us is individual, right? Where is this? I usually don't use this during the show.
You're all individuals! Yes, we're all individuals!
Okay. And because of that, we each have our own version of our cross to bear. So the only solace I can give you is whatever you're experiencing, your brothers and sisters and your brethren, whatever words you want to use there, they're experiencing their own type of things in their life. And they may not be as bad as yours or equal to. We're not supposed to do that. That's one of the commandments, I believe, right? Coveting goods and stuff. And so all I can tell you is the same thing as all those passages that I was reading through is you've got to pray on it and don't stop. Even if nothing ever happens. I have things that I prayed on and they're not coming true. God's not a magic genie. You don't get everything you ask for. Because remember, don't forget, when Jesus was about to go on the cross, he asked God, can I not do this? And if God had granted him that wish, then we'd all be screwed. But he gave him strength and endurance to get through it. And so I guess that's what I would say is if you see no end in sight, keep praying for God to help you get through it. And ask others to pray for you. You know, we do it on this stream sometimes too. I haven't read the chat, but some people do. And so all I can say is this, is that keep praying through it and know that God will answer your prayers somehow and deliver you. And will it happen in the timeline that you're thinking of? Probably not. We don't know. His timeline's different. Every once in a while, there's some silly little thing, a prayer that gets answered immediately. And those are like, whoa, that's cool. But then there's others that continue to this day that aren't being answered. But they are. I just don't know how and the time frame. And so, oh my gosh, I got to hit these before I get wrapped up here. Thank you there, Simone Watchman. We've got Tolafo. Oh, to my honorary Simone. I don't know what sign you do there, but fist bump. This guy's an amazing man. We'll have to talk about your story. We'll talk because I want to discuss that. It's pretty fascinating. And Fishbowl Media. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as a fact as you are doing. 1 Thessalonians 5:11. Thank you. And I want to make sure I got all the different super chats and stuff. Thank you. So, and over here we've got Pacific Northwest is having a wonderful dinner in Water Stars. Faith is believing things that are true when it seems like they aren't. I like that too. Okay. So let me get rid of that. Okay. Thank you. All right. And yeah, Joey, that's he's the one. That's the guy. He's got this great story, the One Punch Man with his airplane. I can't. It's 9:30. We'll do it another time. Remind me though. We got to talk about this. Yeah. What is this? Don't read the chat. What does that mean? What's up with you, Melanie? Where is she?
Melanie, it's all your fault.
Exactly. But you know what I do have? I did this right before the show. I still have it with me. This is rose water and some other magical stuff in there that Melanie gave me. Just love this stuff. All right. That's a manly thing to do. I did it in a manly way. All right. So what's next? Is that it? So yeah, so I think because we're really towards the end of the show. I mean, here we are.
And so here we are.
Gonna call that the Gen drop. Okay. So yeah, I guess I'll just end it with this and say, Father in heaven, please watch over us and guide us through these times. Open our hearts and our eyes. Help our brethren that are sick and hurting and broken. Help our loved ones that are asleep to what's going on in the world. Please open up the Holy Spirit in all of our hearts. Spread it out across the nations. We need you now more than ever. Dear Jesus, please come here. Sit with us. Help us. Heal us. Take care of the broken in us. We need you more than ever. Please help us find the patience, the wisdom, and the understanding to get through these times. And give us the strength that we need to keep the faith to make it through these times and help others that are struggling in these times too. And may the power of Jesus Christ be heard right now and help the sick and heal and help with the brokenhearted and the lonely and the widows and the orphans and all the brethren. Help us right now, Father. We need you now more than ever. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. Okay. Well, I hope I answered the questions that were asked to my best abilities. And if I haven't, please write me again. And like I said, if you make too long of a comment on a video, it's going to get killed out by YouTube. But send me an email, ceilingfanman2020@gmail.com. If you want any of our soaps, that's where you can reach me for that too. And what else? Is that about it? Is it time to go? He's saying it's time to go. He's saying we've been talking too long.
Who said that?
This guy.
Oh.
All right. So I'm being called to another thing, so I must be going. So with that, you get this.
Class is dismissed.
All right. Let's do this again, God willing, next Friday or some other time if I see a reason to go online. And keep praying, keep the faith, and we're gonna make this through this together. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for all the support, the people that were supporting tonight, and I get other support after the shows, and the emails and the letters. Please keep them coming. And I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. This chat is wonderful. It's quite the family, and I really enjoy reading the chats afterwards. So now my dogs are really getting on my case. All right. Good night, everyone. I love you so much, and we'll see you again.
I'm the satellite.